Hey, did you miss me? I missed you. I wasn't on yesterday. I was going to come on. It got later and later and later. I made myself some dinner. I said, you know what? What's on Netflix? Okay. I'm in the Peaky Blinders now. So I'm on episode 2. I know I'm hella late, but that's what I'm into now. Good to see y'all. I'm glad y'all here. You know what I mean? I was thinking it's Christmas Eve. Nobody's going to be on, but there's a whole slew, a myriad, a plethora of people that don't do the holidays or do the holidays early and are looking for me on YouTube, right? So here I is. I got a spicy topic for you tonight. No, we're not going to take it easy on y'all because it's Christmas Eve, okay? We coming out swinging on Christmas Eve. I hope you got your eggnog, your coquito, whatever it is you drink, me, your little Hennessy, your little Patron, whatever it is y'all drinking, you could throw it in the chat, okay? Either way, whether you celebrate it or not, I do not. But if you did, I hope you enjoyed yourself, your family, etc. And if you're alone tonight, not anymore, because I'm here to hang out with you. So it's all good. We're going to spend some time together. I'm not going to keep y'all long because it is Christmas Eve and you may celebrate Christmas tomorrow. Yo no sé. Either way, we are here. I got a spicy topic for you. I got 2 gentlemen who stopped me in my scrolling tracks earlier today. I was scrolling on Instagram, and one of our favorite panelists, Glenn Lawrence, posted a clip of one of his shows with Mr. Lawrence D. Adams. And I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Are y'all available to talk about this later? Because y'all need to pull up to the block if you are. And they so graciously accepted. They will be here tonight. And we're going to get into this because I got a rebuttal for what they were saying. It sounded all cute. And it was all, hyped and broing each other and high-fiving each other on that clip. But I was like, mama got something to say about this. So y'all available tonight? And they were so kind to say yes. And they will be here tonight. I see Lawrence backstage, but Glenn Lawrence is on Colored People Time. I don't know why, because Glenn Lawrence is white, but he's always on Colored People Time, right? Lawrence Adams is already here. It is what it is. Anyway, let's take care of this business real quick. You guys already know I am Jen. You could reach me at On the Block with Jen on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and also at Gmail, On the Block with Jen at Gmail. That is where you go for collaborations, for interviews, for topics. It's a suggestion box is what it is. It's not where you go to ask me to marry you or ask me out on a date. That is a suggestion box. That is where you go to send me a topic, okay? I get lots of topics. Doesn't mean I'm going to pick yours. Sometimes there's too many to sift through. I pick the ones I think my audience would like or that one of my panelists members, throws in there, but you never know. You may catch something that I do not. I'm not online all the time. You may catch something and be like, ooh, this would be good for On the Block with Jen. Throw it in there, On the Block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to support the show and you want to help mama keep the church lights on, because we have church here all week, send me a super chat. It is the $ on the bottom right of the chat where you jump in there and talk all that shit. That is where you hit me with the super chat tonight. Or if you're catching the replay, hi, with your late ass catching the replay. Welcome. Hit me at the Cash App scrolling on the bottom right there. You can also support the show that way. Of course, I'll be asleep, but Cash App is open 24/7 and I'll get your notification either way. Okay. So I have a clip tonight of why I wanted these gentlemen up here because I got something to say to them. Yes, I grabbed the clip. I snatched the clip from Glenn Lawrence's channel and I want to share it with you guys and I want to get into it. Okay. The topic tonight is, are men still blaming women and the church or lack of church for divorce? Right? Glenn says some very interesting things, okay, as Glenn normally does. And we're going to talk about it tonight, okay? So, did you guys hear Tory Lanez guilty on all 3 fucking counts? Oh, baby. And I know he's going to appeal, but the man is facing 22 years and deportation, okay? And deportation, all right? And it is split Twitter and it is split YouTube into a gender war because we can't look at anything without it being a gender war. So people are split. Black women are saying, yay, that's right, protect Black women. And Black men are saying, you see that? Black women can lie on us and we get locked up. We don't get a fair shake. A lot of shit is going down, okay? The universe on the next is split over Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion. People are saying, yeah, but you gotta, convict without, you gotta prove without a reasonable doubt. Well, apparently apparently the prosecutors proved it without a reasonable doubt. You can't only jerk the justice system when it feels good to you, right? You can't be that way. I don't understand how people are that way. If you are adamant about you believing in the justice system, then when they say guilty, you have to accept. And when they say not guilty, you have to accept. But you guys are, it's like everything else you guys deal with, you're sometimey with it. You have to cookie cut it, right? The guys, had Tory Lanez been set free, y'all would have been like, yeah, the justice system. But he's not. So the guys are pissed off. They're like, fuck the justice system. Same thing on the ladies' side. Y'all got to make up your fucking mind. Does the justice system work? Is the bitch blind or is it not blind, right? Either way, he's in lots of trouble. People are saying there was no DNA evidence on the gun, so he didn't do it. But here's the thing, right? I don't know, common sense. Common sense. If it wasn't Tory that shot her and Tory was there that night and it was supposedly Kelsey, her friend, why didn't Tory point the finger and say, it wasn't me, it was that bitch. She shot her. I didn't shoot her. So you want me to believe on today that Tory Lanez is about to do a bid for some chick he was just fucking, for some Kelsey, for a friend of a friend, for a friend of Meg the Stallion? You really want me to believe that Tory Lanez went to court and said, I'm not snitching on Kelsey. I'm taking this bid for her. You really want me to believe that? If it wasn't him, he was there. Why didn't he say, I didn't do it, but that's who did? Isn't that common sense? If you didn't shoot somebody and your DNA wasn't on a gun, but you were there, wouldn't you say, hold up, it was her? So if he's not saying it was her and Meg the Stallion is saying it was him, well, there you go. The jury decided. Get over it. So with that said, I want to get into the topic for tonight. My gents are here. What's up, Hoods? No Saint is here. Happy Saturday night. It's so weird when you don't do the holidays and everybody's like, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's all good because I know it's a well wish. People mean well. Now, I don't have time to fucking explain why I don't celebrate the holidays and all that shit. Just get into a freaking debate about nothing. I dropped the link. I see some of my people in the chat. Feel free to come up, okay? I'm about to give these gentlemen some business. No Vaseline. Pause. All right, so let me get this clip ready for my guys. It's so interesting. I got Lawrence and Lawrence. I got Lawrence Adams and Glenn Lawrence. So it's a double shot of Lawrence tonight is what it is. Hello, Glenn Lawrence.
Yo, what it do? You don't want these problems. You don't want that double shot of Glenn Lawrence or double shot of Lawrence.
I do.
You really don't. It's just,
I want all the smoke here, Glenn.
Yeah, but I don't know if you're going to be able to inhale it all.
I got it. My lungs.
I don't know. You're going to get an asthma attack. You ain't going to be able to breathe. It's about to. Hell's hot. Hell's hot. You saw the flames in the video. Hell's hot.
We shall see. What's up, Lawrence Adams? How are you, sir?
What's going on? How are you?
I'm really, really good to see you. Dapper as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Hoods is here. How are you, Hoodsman?
Good, good.
Sounds like husband, but it's Hoodsman. All right, guys. So I dropped the link. Anybody could come up as they see fit. Let's have some fun tonight. We ain't got to be here all night, but let's have some fun. Take a little sip of my drink.
Who's drinking? Is that eggnog?
Protein and freaking peanut butter. The story of my damn life. I got peanut butter coming out my damn ears. All right, guys. So, with that said, what freaking protein do you recommend that has the most mass weight gainer in it?
There's two that I would recommend. One is by my homeboy Phil Foster. You know Phil. He has a supplement line. Go to philfosterfitness.com. He has a great line. That one has a good mass gainer. The other one that I would recommend is through First Form, and it's called Level 1. Level 1 protein from First Form. It's actually, they're one of the top 3 rated FDA approved supplement companies to produce protein. That means whatever is on that label is backed up, guaranteed to, by that brand. So
First Form Level 1. Okay, wrote it down. And Phil Foster. I'm familiar with his supplements because I see you advertising them all the time. I did take a peek. So
Yeah.
thank you for that, Glenn. And anyone else, any other recommendations, feel free. Throw them in the chat. I'm always open for suggestions. I just got this this peanut butter is not peanut butter coming out my gills. All right, I see No Saint backstage as well. How are you, sir?
Good evening.
Good
Happy
evening.
Festivus.
There you go. There you go. I'll take that. All right, guys. So I want to jump right into this. I appreciate your time dearly. So let's not hold you up. Okay. I want to play this clip, and it made me raise an eyebrow. I was like, is that right, Lawrence and Lawrence? Okay.
Was your horns coming out?
Huh?
Did your Maleficent horns come out?
They sure the fuck did.
I'm sure they did.
They sure did. I was like, what? All right, let's get into it. Let's play this clip. Listen with your listening ears, all right, everybody? Here we go. I said, what did these men just say out loud in public for the world to hear? Here we go.
The reason why women are losing men left and right is because for the longest time you have been working on becoming the men that you want to marry.
Whoa.
That's a Rollo Tomasi quote.
Whoa.
Okay, ladies, you are so focused on becoming the men that you want to marry that you are passing up the men that you actually want to marry.
That right there. Go to the scripture back in Proverbs. He that findeth a wife, not he that findeth a husband that pretends to be a wife.
Okay. Did everybody hear that? You know what? Just for shits and giggles, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to play it again.
The reason why women are losing men left and right is because for the longest time you have been working on becoming the men that you want to marry.
Whoa.
That's a Rollo Tomasi quote.
Whoa.
Okay, ladies, you are so focused on becoming the men that you want to marry that you are passing up the men that you actually want to marry.
That right there. Go to the scripture back in Proverbs. He that findeth a wife, not he that findeth a husband that pretends to be a wife.
Hey, shots fired. I love it. I love it. So
I got a question. So what's the beef?
I'm about to get into it.
Okay.
I'm about to get into it. First and foremost, okay, sounded great. Makes sense when you think about it, kind of logical. Hey, if I want a banana, why am I going to try to be a banana, right? If I want a banana and I'm making myself a banana, why the fuck do I still need a banana, right? The banana is going to say, you're already a banana, right? That's for all my slow folks, all the people that took the short yellow bus today, the special ed kids. That is basically what you were saying. Great. Sounded good. Okay. Kind of makes sense. Now I want to go to what Lawrence was saying, Lawrence Adams. Okay. We got Glenn Lawrence and Lawrence Adams. I want to start out asking you a question. And Glenn, you could probably answer this because you all know about the religion and all of that. Lawrence, if you were sick, universe forbid, you had some sort of illness, right? Would you want a doctor who specialized in that illness in the year 1900?
Before I answer that question, I want to know, how does this lead to what the question about the scripture that I used?
We're getting there.
No, because my answer will be predicated on that scripture, not what happened in 1900.
Okay, so just in general, for shits and giggles.
Okay,
for entertainment purposes.
so is this in context or just in
just for the audience, just shits and giggles.
Okay. So say it again one more time.
So don't worry.
Say that again.
I said I'm not going to leave anything out. We're going to answer all your questions too.
So answer the question again.
Okay, if you had an illness, universe forbid, you had an illness in 2022, would you want a doctor who specialized in that illness in 1900 working on you today?
No, but I understand where you're coming from. I see the track you're laying.
Okay.
I see exactly what she's setting up. She's trying to set you up. She's
I know.
setting it up.
Yeah, but I got
She's slick. She ain't that slick.
Wait, this is still entertainment at the end of the day. We want people to follow us. And by the way, guys, you're going to enjoy this conversation. Please take note of the names on the panel, write them down, and follow these gentlemen, okay? Do us that favor. That is how we eat on YouTube. The names are there. Write them down. You may not want to leave right now to follow them. Just write them down. You got a pen somewhere. Write them down and support. This is how he eats on YouTube. Okay. Glenn, when was the Bible written?
Well, I mean, shit, it's been written for a long time. I mean, if you want to talk about the first books of the Bible, that was written by Moses, but that was like well into, well, let's just say like a couple thousand C's BC.
Right. So
but that's the first 5 books of the Bible, though.
Okay, that's fine. Basically, some people say 4,000 years ago. Some people say 2nd century BC. Some people say 164 BCE. But it's a fucking old book, is what I'm
basically it wasn't written yesterday.
Right, not at all. Right. That's for the short yellow bus again. It wasn't written yesterday. So I find it ironic that we all agree that humans evolve. Right? According to their environment, humans evolve or they evaporate. They basically die. Humans evolve. So I find it ridiculous, okay, for lack of a more spicy on the block word. I find it absolutely ridiculous that we are still trying to use, okay, sayings, quotes, thoughts, ideas, gender roles from a book that is archaic. Like,
well, it works.
Arcade.
Well, hold on.
Absolutely ridiculous. Why women were marrying men back in the BCE, BC, QCRS 4,000 years ago was not at all the same reason why a woman would decide to marry a man today. So to go back there is absolutely ridiculous. If you wouldn't use a doctor from back there, if you wouldn't use the transportation from back there, if you wouldn't eat the food from back there, why is it so conveniently used, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe the Bible is misogynistic, and we'll get into that as well. Why would you still use that conveniently, right, when it comes to a woman's role? But you wouldn't take a doctor or anything else from back there.
Okay, for one, you got to understand the premise of what was being said. Now, I was talking about it from a biblical worldview. For those that have and hold a biblical worldview, they would understand what I'm saying. Because so for somebody that doesn't have that biblical worldview, you are not going to be able to, one, either accept what it is that I'm saying in that context, because it doesn't coincide with your worldview. Now, what I was saying is, and when I say this, first of all, can I show you what I said? Can you let me present something? Because I'm going to show you what I said and where I got it from, for one.
Yes, that is why we're here. What you
all
got?
Right. So let me do this real quick. Windows. Yes, here we go. What does this say?
I don't see anything. Are you sharing a screen?
Yes, I am. It should be, at least.
Okay, what does that say? Oh, that's tiny.
It's a quote from Gloria Steinem, who is a feminist, which says, "We are becoming the men we wanted to marry."
Okay.
And what did I say? Women have become the men they want to marry.
Okay.
We are. I use a quote. I'm using a quote from a feminist, and to depict the reason, the problem, why most women are complaining that they. You're
misusing.
No. I'm not misquoting anything. You're interrupting. Let me finish my statement, please. I'm using the quote that she said, women are becoming the men they want to marry, meaning they were becoming the men that they wanted to be, that they would want to be with, because they couldn't find the men that they wanted to be with. That understand that. And what they're doing now, and the ones that are finding or having a hard time finding the guys that they want to be with, is because they have become those guys that they want to be with. So the guys that are available don't want to be with women that are portraying masculine traits. Okay.
So I have a response for that, but I don't want to hog up the panel. I want Annalicia to respond because she wanted to respond to that. And then I'll give you my idea of what you said, Glenn. Annalicia, what were you saying?
First of all, what are you talking, like women are becoming the men? What does that mean? So you understand that the only difference, really, like I love the idea that like women are being left behind because they're the men that they want to marry. Like, that's not what's happening in the real world. Women are in a position where they're finally, they're not at the mercy of men. So guess what that means? That means that they don't have to rely on a man to live, to eat, and to do anything in life. They're not at the mercy of men, so they don't have to stay stuck and trapped in shitty marriages, so they can wait to get married. That's what that means. And that's what the studies reflect. It's not that women are not getting married. It's not that women are being left behind and, oh, you're a man. No, that's not what's happening. Women are simply waiting to get into marriages and long-term relationships, because guess what? They're in a position to. So now they say, okay, now we're going to look for men that are emotionally stable, because financially stable women we're able to provide financial stability. So what women are doing now is they're waiting to do things later on in life, whereas before that really wasn't an option. What are you talking about? Women are like, what does one have to do with the other? You act like women in droves. Like there's this mass.
First of all, you're taking everything on context one. And nobody said women in droves. Nobody said it. Nobody said anything, but you're putting words in my mouth.
Now you're
cutting me off.
Now you're cutting me off.
If you're going to quote me accurately.
Now you're cutting me off. Okay, thank you. Like I said, this is not happening. There's no exodus. A mass exodus of women who are just, oh, we're so lonely, we need a man. No, that's not what is happening. Women are still getting into relationships. They're still being getting to stable relationships, and they're fulfilled. They're just waiting to find the right person rather than any person, because we're at the mercy of these people. That's what's happening. I don't like the premise that, you know what's happening? You know why women can't find a man? Because they're the men they want to. No, they can. They're just waiting to find the right man for them.
So with that being said, I'm glad you put that out there, that a lot of women are waiting to find the right man. And so what skill set does these women who in that quote have to find the right man? And so what we're saying, as archaic as it may seem, there are some truths that are just universal that helps men and women. I'm talking.
Sorry, what? No. But clarify what you're saying. You're saying the skill set. What are you talking about?
There's a skill set to be in a relationship. No one comes here knows how to be in a relationship or be in a marriage. It does that as a skill set. So what we're saying is,
so if
it's a lot of women,
then women are much better off, because if you have men in relationships, they're faring off way worse than women right now.
Are you just going to interrupt, or are you going to let him finish what he's saying?
Yeah, so let me finish, because he
doesn't need you to be his public defender, Glenn. Shut the hell up.
Listen. I'm a cool cat, so I don't do all of that. So let me say this. What I'm saying is there's some skill sets that men and women need in order to have healthy relationships. Now, as much as we can debate about the Bible, whether it's good or whether it's not, there are some truths that are just universal, whether it succeeds, it goes past any time.
What are they?
What we're saying here with that quote that he put up, we're looking at it at two different angles. We're looking at it from a masculine point of view, and you're looking at it from a female point of view. And what we have not did is bridge the gap and say, where can we come together and say, hey, he's saying this, she's saying that. How do we come together to understand so we have healthier relationships? Are there women who are winning? Yes. Are there women who are not? Yes. Just because you have a relationship doesn't mean that you're going to be married.
So I wanted to respond to something. Again, I like the word evolve, right? Women are different now. There's different needs, there's different situations. They don't have to depend on men, right? But if men don't evolve with that woman, then the ones that are getting left behind are men. And something was interesting in that clip that I played of Glenn. Glenn said, women are losing men all the time. Women file for divorce 75 to 80% of the time. So men are losing women.
Why are they? Jane, I got a question.
Men are losing women.
Why are the women filing divorce?
Because they don't want to be with men anymore.
Because
That's
they can.
No.
Because they can.
No. Listen.
Because they can.
But
Again, they don't have to be stuck in marriages where they are not happy. Statistics reflect that women are less happy in marriages and men are much happier in marriages, and the reverse is true for women. Women don't have to be with shitty men anymore. Period.
No.
So, Lawrence, you tell me why women are filing.
I'm gonna tell you the reason. One of the reasons why, and I can say it because I've been married, so I have some skin in the game. One of the reasons why divorces happens because there's a door for it to happen. Second of all, the reason why it happens is because we think that marriage is supposed to be happy. It's not about being happy. It's we said it on the, if you listen to the whole context what we said yesterday, it is work and being in a relationship, being in a marriage. And if there's always a back door because things don't work out the way you want to work out or the way he wanted to work out, then you shouldn't have got married in the first place. It takes work to be in a marriage.
Okay, sir.
So, but I want to say that, hold on, Anna. I want to say respectfully, Lawrence, those are semantics, right?
It's not semantics.
Those are semantics. It's like, oh, well, you know, people get divorced because it's work and they don't realize that it's work. I was on the point, Glenn said that women are losing men everywhere. But men are losing women because women are filing. Now, why they file? Because they're not in it for the long haul. Those are semantics. The point still remains. Women file 75 to 80% of the time, which is a sign that women want to get away from men, not the other way around. So to say that women are losing men is false. Men are losing women. Women are saying goodbye.
Okay, let me speak to that. So
sign right here so I can get the fuck up out of here and I can.
Are they winning? Are they winning, Gene? Are they winning?
I'm sorry. Well, what do you? I'm not. We could define winning differently, but
no. I'm asking. Are they winning by getting out of the marriage?
No, psychologically speaking, what's better? We're gonna be honest. Marriage is an economic proposition. It is a financial institution. In its inception, it was about wealth building and money and keeping the wealth in specific families and hierarchies. You can cut the shit right there. It wasn't about love.
That's not let Glenn speak on this.
That's fine. Let me finish. What it has become may have been different, but what marriage started out as is something completely different. So if we look at what it started out as, a financial and economic proposition, and you see that women are clearly at the mercy of men. Divorce is also a relatively new concept. So divorce was not always an option for women who are stuck in abusive and fucked up relationships.
Why is it always abusive?
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish, Hat. So
it's Mr. Adams. Don't ever call me that.
What I want you to realize is,
Mr. Adams.
There are kids. I'll call you what I want.
No, you will not. You will not address me.
I do what I want. Okay,
no, that's the problem.
So this is what you need to realize, psychologically speaking. Children who are the product of a shitty marriage do worse off, substantially worse off than children from single parent homes, and or cohabitation, I should say. So you guys are talking about, are they doing the work? They don't want to do the work, and it's kumbaya. No, it is not good for the children if you stay trapped in a messed up relationship. And most of the time, in most cases, there is abuse involved. Whether it's psychological, whether it's emotional.
I want to answer.
Okay, can I?
Before you jump in, let me just answer Lawrence's question. Lawrence, do you want to be addressed as Lawrence or Mr. Adams?
It is Lawrence, but you do not address me as Hack, because that's disrespectful and that's condescending. I have nothing but respect for everyone on here. This is adult conversation.
Okay, so I'll call you Lawrence. Let's everybody call everyone by their name, please, just for the sake of respect.
Yeah.
Lawrence, to answer your question, you asked, are they winning? I would say, fuck yeah. They're getting alimony, they're getting a gang of child support, and they're coming. It's a come up. A divorce is a come up for a woman. She's free, she's getting alimony, she's getting child support, hand over fist. So that is a win. And she's doing all of that, and she doesn't have to, quote unquote, wipe your ass anymore. She doesn't have to do your laundry. She doesn't have to be sexy when she don't want to be sexy. She doesn't have to put up with your boring shit. You come home, watch sports, stick your hand in your underwear. She doesn't have to deal with that. That's a fucking win. So if you're asking me, do divorced women, or is it a win? Fuck yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say something. I agree with you. It is a win for them. You know why? They will be perpetually alone, and they will always be my side chick that I lay up with. And
right, but that's why men are killing themselves at the highest clip, because they're alone and they don't know what to do about their positions in society. So
you're giving a generalization.
Here's the thing about that.
Lawrence, you just gave a generalization.
You can talk about how unhappy women are, but the most unhappy people, they're the ones that kill themselves. And if you look at the suicide rates of men, they are astronomically high.
It's because we're more effective at it. That's the whole thing.
Well, hey, you guys follow through more, and women are still alive and breathing, so it might not be that bad. Maybe it's not that bad.
Okay. All right, so here we go. I need to make a couple points here, because there was a couple things that were said that I need to address. One, if you're going to quote something, how about you bring facts and support it? Because I can support everything that I say on here right now with any slides, any statistics, any source of quoted evidence as a reference to what I say. So if somebody's going to be on this panel tonight and they're going to be talking without bringing any evidence to support it, it has to be discarded unless it's provable, verifiable. Okay? Because I don't do that with anybody. I always provide evidence, and I always provide my support to prove what I say when called upon. So let's start that, because we are saying things that are not verifiable, and just because someone says them, whether with an angry tone or with a very assertive statement, doesn't make it fact. Okay? No saint.
Yeah, I'm going to say, to start off with, then don't bring up the Bible, because that many scholars say that the books of the Bible.
You know what?
Wait. The books of the Bible were written most scholars say written 500 years after the time that Moses was alive.
Well, there's a problem with that.
No. Don't bring up the Bible for not bringing up sources.
Here's the thing.
You can't prove that.
Actually, the reason why I would have to bring it up, because in the context of the original conversation, no. Don't interrupt. Why don't you stop interrupting? Stop interrupting and let me finish.
You can't verify the Bible.
How about you stop interrupting and let me finish? Oh my God, are you just gonna stop? Please, thank you.
At some point, yeah, but let's
okay. Let me finish what I was saying. In the context of the conversation, that the clip came from, the Bible was referenced. So therefore, if it's going to be mentioned, you can't just take and pick and choose the things that you want to take as a soundbite without taking the entirety of it when it's going to be presented. So therefore, it would have to be. And that at that point, as I also said in the beginning, that this is coming from a specific worldview that not all people have. So coming from this worldview and how this worldview could look at it from this angle and how they see it, this is where they reflect on this Bible, and from this Bible and the context of what they see, they can see how they connect. So if we're going to take a soundbite that is referencing a Bible, then you cannot not have it in the conversation.
My point regarding the Bible was the quote that Lawrence said. What was the quote again, Lawrence?
It was, "He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord." What I did was flip that scripture and said, "He that findeth a husband that acts like a wife." I changed it in reference to what he said. So
then you actually confirmed my point that people cookie cut the Bible, because you gave it your remix and your interpretation. A wife.
You gotta hear the reason why I said it.
Go ahead.
In the context of what we were talking about, he gave that quote by Rollo Tomassi. Mm-hmm. I said, the scripture, and I said, let me flip the scripture so it makes sense. He is the man findeth a wife. And I said, well, look at that. The woman in the modern woman is in the position of acting like the husband and not like the wife. Mm. That was the context of that.
So let me read the super chat really quickly before we continue. Thank you, Joanna Washington, for the super chat. Joanna says, ever since Eve, women always knew the game. She never really chose Adam. Think about that. Eve played her hand. That's interesting.
I get a question like off of that, and it goes back to something that Annalisa was saying earlier. She was saying that like women now have the opportunity to wait before, instead of just like settling down with somebody and getting into a bad marriage. I want to understand, what age do you think that is? What age should it be that they go ahead and get married or choose their guy?
Why do you think that there's no such thing as should be? People should get to, when people feel that they are in a position in life in which they are financially or economically comfortable. And what we're seeing now is, because there's so much economic anxiety, I guess sort of at the tail end of COVID and everything like that, you're seeing birth rates go down everywhere in the world, like everywhere. Birth rates are going down, marriage rates are going down. And that's a byproduct of the social and economic sort of instability and anxiety, which is a separate issue. But generally speaking, there's no steadfast rule in which a person needs to do something by a certain time, because whose measuring stick are they matching it up with? Are they comparing it with? I think that women should get into marriages and relationships when they feel they are ready, and when they feel that they found someone who they're compatible with, and who is complementary to their lives, and vice versa. I don't care how old you are. And I don't think it matters unless we're talking about having kids. And even then, women are finding options to either have children later or adopt later. So it's like, there's no should. Only time that should matters, and actually it matters for men too. A lot of men, and of course we live in a patriarchy, right? So a lot of men want to believe that their sperm doesn't go bad. No, it goes bad too. So the only time that, when should you do it? The only time I would consider that is if you're having children, and a lot of women are opting out of having children because for various reasons. But at the end of the day, there is no such thing as what time should a person do something.
So
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't want to get too far away from what I was going to say about what Mr. Lawrence, right? Adams, right? Lawrence Adams, is it? Yeah. What he was saying and what Jen was saying, I think you're both, and I agree totally that divorce laws in the country have made it advantageous for women to leave. I think if it was more even, but I think that can skew the stats of the 70%. If it were more even, you might see more men leaving, but when you have a lot more stake in the game and you feel like you're going to lose a lot more, you might pause a little bit more. And I'm not saying that's the only reason women will get a divorce with a man, and I do disagree with Mr. Adams on you should just stay in there and be miserable. You
said that.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second, because I have to clear this up. I don't want people to misunderstand. Because I understand, Jen, you think what you think, and I think that is a misrepresentation of what actually happens. So if you look at women who go through divorce, statistically speaking, and what studies reflect is that initially, after the divorce, they tend to do better than men. They tend to do better off. And we're talking all like in all metrics, right? Psychologically, financially, they tend to do better. But long term, because again, women are the ones that end up having the children, that affects how many hours they're able to work. So there's a caveat to this whole, I divorced you, I'm winning. We're talking about extreme, like the 1% of the 1%, extremely wealthy men. And the women who divorce them, they are absolutely that's a come up. That's 100%. It could be a racket. And I'm not mad at it. Listen, do your thing. But the everyday, your average person is not getting alimony, because there are qualifiers for alimony. Like, you have to make a lot of money. You have to make money, right? And especially in the Black community, we're not even go there because it's null and void. It doesn't even exist. If anything, Black women are paying Black men alimony, if anything. But again, I don't want a divorce to be represented in a way where it's a W for women and an L for men. There are caveats to this. There are levels to this.
True.
And it's a little bit more nuanced than that
Very true.
statement makes it out to be.
That's very true.
Okay, can I again, I think this was all, as Jen, you mentioned, it stems from my comment on what I said. Now, let me preface it again. When I was talking about women are becoming the men that they want to marry, and that's why those women are complaining that the fact that they can't find men that they want to marry is because of multiple reasons. All right. One, women are hypergamous. Okay. So that means that they want to get with somebody that's always above them in economical, sociological, like just status wise, attractiveness. Women want to look up to a man. Jen, you have said that many times. That you like to look up to a man.
That's not true.
Oh my gosh. Just let me finish my statement, please. And, so if a woman wants to look up to a man, all right, on average, not all, some, Jen, can I see your sign? Since that's the average, then the higher the woman climbs up on the economical, sociological, to the financial, ladder, the smaller the pool is for her, as in options. Because since she's not going to want to date down on average, she's going to want to date someone that's above her, or at her level at least. So when I was talking about those women that are saying that they're having a hard time finding a man, I'm not talking about all women. I'm talking about the woman that have become that successful business person, that boss babe, the one that's saying, where is my husband? Where is my guy? I mean, it goes back to a clip that was on Steve Harvey, where the woman asked that same question to Steve Harvey. Where is my guy? I did everything right. I went to college. I got a good job. I became successful. I own business. I'm a boss babe. I have degrees and doctrines. And she was listing all these long, great accomplishments that men typically use to compare themselves to separate them from other men. So when she has become the man that she wanted to marry, is that the guys that are available to her are either the high value guys are either taken. Most of those top tier guys are not single. Okay. Like the guys in her area, in that pool, there are fewer options. There's so fewer options. You're talking about less than 1% of men. And out of that 1%, you got to figure out how many of those men are actually already married and available. So her options are so small. So when I say they're not finding the guy that they want to marry, because men don't want to marry a boss bitch. Men don't want to marry those type of women because they're going to constantly have to compete with that woman or with that woman's career and them. It's always going to have that other person involved. They're going to see that like, she cannot be my wife because she's a boss over here. She's in charge of, she's drawn to this. This takes more attention and time from her than me. So
I'm sorry. Are you like?
I'm not done yet. So when I'm preferencing that, that's the statement I'm saying. The fact that the guy's going to see her career as competition to his place in the relationship, and men don't want to do that. Men don't want to date women that are very masculine because it just doesn't. It's not compatible.
Okay. So this is a stinky onion and there's so much to peel back. Like how old are these men? Are they like 15? This is ridiculous. We live in a capitalistic society. Everyone has to work. What are you talking about, boss bitch? What are you talking about, masculinity? Like you know what's really interesting to me? And again, this to me is what 15-year-old boys talk about, right? When you are intimidated by a woman's like socioeconomic position, her ability, like her tenacity, her work ethic, her drive, the amount of money that she makes, that's a you problem. And here's the thing, because it's so much. Oh my god.
I want to ask a question, because my understanding And guys, you correct me if I'm wrong here. The things that guys want is they want peace and they want submission from their partner. They don't want aggressiveness. They don't want to be interrupted. They don't want annoyance. They don't want to come home from work where they just want to relax and then have somebody fight with them.
Right. Okay. So guess what, the husband? Guess what? Humans are annoying. Guess what? Humans get upset. Guess what? Humans go through. Let me tell you something. The reason that men are having a hard time is because their rigid ideologies of masculinity and femininity are keeping them in a box, and they refuse to push forward. If you think that this represents masculine and this represents feminine, and you don't see a world that exists outside of that, A, you're a child. Your frontal lobe is underdeveloped. I'll tell you that right now. And B, you are going to have a hard time in a world that is ever changing, in an economy, in a system that is ever changing, and in a people that are ever growing and ever evolving. We are humans. Like, anger is not the only emotion. You understand? Like, we're human, sentient human beings. We have a variety, a range of emotions, and that's the reason that women are waiting to get married. Because and I love when men come up here and tell on themselves. You guys are the red flags that women are saying, yeah, I would rather wait until I'm 50 to be married than get in a marriage with that person who thinks like that and be unhappy. Because submission, what, where, who, and why?
Okay, so can I interject something?
Why do you need submission to be happy? Why do you need submission to have peace? You should have that from within. If you don't have inner peace, honey, nobody can submit to you enough for you to have peace. Like, what do you mean? How old are we? This is disgusting.
Let me say something. I'm glad you said. I'm glad you said what you said. There was a lot of shaming and deflecting. What we did not do is address, what do men want? What does the woman give to the man in exchange, and what does the man give to the woman? Now, we can shame, we can guilt, we can deflect and say it's childish and the frontal lobe has not developed.
No, men are shaming themselves.
I'm slipping.
Men are shaming themselves.
No. Listen.
Men are buying into
never.
Men,
even with that, you never address. Do you know what men want?
Do men know what
Ask the question.
Why
Not
are
a
men so
question.
depressed? Why are men killing themselves? Why do men have to struggle with mental illness at the highest clips?
Why are you deflecting? Just answer the question. Are you going to answer the question or deflect?
No, I'm not going to answer the question because it's a moot point. Men don't know what they want either.
No. Then you cannot talk in that premise. Then if you do not know what a man wants.
Men struggle with mental illness at the highest clip. You guys are getting
actually more women are on antidepressants than men are. So if you're really gonna
men, Glenn.
No, some of those women live by themselves, Jen.
Okay, let me jump in here real quick. Let's be fair, first of all. Like, I understand when men start hearing women say certain things and it's shaming and blah blah, but you can say a boss bitch, which is an insult.
Which
you
is
can call it masculine. You can call it masculine.
Shut the hell
which
up.
is an insult.
Still answer the question.
You want to make the rules, you don't want to play by the rules, right? It's a problem. But what I'm saying is, you're a hypocrite. That's what
the question.
The Bible do.
Answer the question.
Bible and who subscribe to Christianity a la carte. That's what
Is this really the type of woman that you would want to come home to? You have a long day at work.
Come on now.
That anybody on this panel is even remotely close to anything that I would touch.
You didn't answer the question. Answer the question.
Let me.
See, you guys got me strapped. I'm on her side.
Can I jump in so we can have a conversation? Let me jump in. I want to answer your question, Lawrence, but I wanted to prefix it by saying, don't cry about insults.
I'm not crying.
Insults first, not you specifically, but you're responding to her saying the frontal lobe, immature, blah, blah, blah.
That was I'm not saying.
Let me finish. Glenn started the insults. No one wants to come home to a boss bitch. That's an insult. No one wants to come, you're masculine. That's an insult. So she's responding to that. Now, to answer your question, what does a man want? First of all, that's relative. Second of all, men have proven that what they quote unquote want, I want her to be submissive. I want her to be my peace. And then 3 months in, you're fucking the secretary who's wild and acts like me.
We always do the extreme. That's extreme. You didn't answer the question.
No,
You didn't answer the question. You gave the extreme.
You're a
You didn't
hypocrite.
answer the question.
You're a hypocrite.
This
Go
proves the
put on the
point.
Bible
So
somewhere
Lawrence,
else.
you tell me, what do men want?
No. Listen. Let me explain it.
Submissive
Let me
and
explain
peace.
Let me say this. If we listened to the clip yesterday, we did say, I said 3 P's. And I said, we preface and says, yes, we want peace, but the peace does not start with her.
What did I say? Hey,
Lawrence,
Lawrence, where did I say the peace comes from? What did I say? I said the man has to facilitate his own peace, right? And all I said was, you just don't want her to what? To bring chaos to your peace. Nobody's saying a woman needs to be a man's peace. The man has to facilitate his own peace, but she cannot bring chaos to his peace.
So I tell you, okay, so check this out. Check this out. Women bring chaos. Women bring chaos when men aren't doing their job. Are you prepared with a happy face to pay all the bills for all that submission you want?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
I'll answer your question. I asked you a question.
The Bible wife wasn't working. You want the Bible wife.
No, but hold on, Jen. Why
are you prepared to pay all the bills with a fucking smile on your face?
No, but Jen,
she doesn't have to talk life into you.
Let's be really honest. Why don't you just get a doll? She doesn't talk. She submits by default. Why don't you just get a role? Why do you want a human, a sentient, an emotional human being?
Because I can't have sex with my dog. That'd be weird.
You can
lubricate the doll
up. Wow. You can lubricate the doll up. You can program her to say, "Hi, honey, I love you. Hi, welcome home." Why not? That seems like a better option.
That's not submission.
10 years from now, you have this submissive robot doll that's going to look like a human. So, I mean, it's coming.
That's not submission.
That is.
No, it's not. That is not.
How do you submit to women? How do you submit? Because the Bible says.
I said, wait, listen to what I'm saying. Because you never answered my question.
You haven't answered.
You hopscotched over it. You hopscotched over it. So, what I'm talking about, submission is not that. Submission has to deal with the heart. Most of the time we hear submission, we get triggered. It's a triggering word on these YouTube streets. I've been here for years. It's a triggering thing. And anytime a woman hears submission, they go, oh, wait a minute. He's trying to make me a slave. We said yesterday, I'm not looking for a slave. Unless you in BDMS, then that's a different situation.
Hey now.
Then we're talking about a slave. Now, what has happened is submission has got a bad rap because the thing, I'm going to put this woman, I'm going to tell her to get in the corner. No. What masculine man wants a woman who do not express herself, who do not open up the kaleidoscope of her emotions and share what's going on? What man doesn't realize that she has times of the month where her emotions go up and down? But yet, what we still did not answer is, what does she understand? What does a man want?
Okay, so Lawrence, what do women want?
Boom.
I love this.
If you expect women to know what men want, then I would hope that you know what women want. So what do women want?
This is actually what you're doing, Jen, is deflecting. Because he asked the question. You are deflecting. The question came here. He made the question first.
I answered his question. He didn't
answer the question.
No, you did not.
He answered the question. What men want is relative. That is 100%.
Let me talk for a minute. I agreed with what Hudson said. I want peace and submission. That is what men want.
No.
So my response was, I answered it. He didn't like my answer. My response was, what you claim you want, You either cheat on, you get bored of, you don't support 100%, you don't pay the fucking bill. So what you want, you are not qualified to have. You need the
who qualifies?
You need the 50. What? Say again?
Who qualifies?
The men I dated qualify to pay all the bills. So they exist.
Did you submit?
Those men don't exist. The only men that should be bitching and moaning, and they don't, because they're in a position for a woman to submit naturally, right? The type of men I'm talking about, they don't have to ask for submission. They walk in the room and you know a man is in the motherfucking room, and you watch your lip and you watch your walk.
You know, I really wish that everybody would have just watched the whole damn video yesterday.
I need a woman to submit. You lost already. You coming in half. I need a woman. A man.
Are you guys really talking?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
This is a low vibration.
I agree with you. Jen, I actually agree with you. Anytime a man has to announce that he needs the woman to submit, guess what? He's already lost the race already.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Anytime a man, and I'm talking to every man, I've been here for years, a man has to say to a woman, I need you to submit because the Bible said you need to submit because I'm the man and you better do what I kind of say. He's already behind the 8 ball. When a man
but that sounded like the clip, Lawrence.
Oh, it did not. You didn't listen to the full context. You didn't listen to the full context.
Findeth for wife, findeth a good thing. That sounds like your clip.
No, it does not. So he that findeth a wife. That means, let me break it down. Let me give a little esoteric part of it.
I think you should just give like the full understanding of the
Do you
scripture.
really think that we're talking about? You think that submission is esoteric? Like you guys are really talking about.
Let me give the esoteric meaning of what I was saying. Let me. I wasn't talking about submission. I'm talking about he that findeth a wife.
Tell on yourselves. I love it.
No, he that findeth a wife. Let me give what Jen asked. So what the esoteric part of it is that somebody brought up Adam and Eve and things like that. So the esoteric part of it is he first has to find the wife inside of him to recognize that she is a wife. You got to understand how this works. He cannot see her as a wife if he does not recognize the wife inside of him. And what do I mean? She has the qualities that he wants, as we were saying earlier, that you said, Jen. And then she said, oh, he has the qualities that I want. He that findeth. He first has to find it in him first. He can't find it. Oh, you know what? She gonna be on white. Let me knock her over the head. No, it doesn't work like that. He has to find it first here. He has to be in the position, in the mindset of a husband and not of a cheater who gets married and say, oh, I'm gonna get with this woman and get married, and then I'm gonna cheat with the secretary. No, he's in the mindset of what? The consciousness of a husband. That's what I'm saying. That is the esoteric meaning of that.
So let me do a super chat break really quickly. Thank you, Necessary Evil, for the super chat. Necessary Evil says, lots of men today saw how easy it was for their fathers to walk away. So fighting for a marriage is too much work for them. Boom.
Actually, I think that's like from one perspective view, because you could also look at it as a lot of men today see that their fathers' fight for them didn't produce anything and they lost anyways. So they just rather bow out rather than fight like their fathers did.
What are you talking? Oh, listen, man. All right.
What?
I mean, like I said, you could frame it however you want. I'm
no,
just saying,
you just frame it.
I reframed it, but that's exactly what you have been doing. You reframed things.
I don't put on the Bible.
I just reframed that statement. You just don't like that I reframed the same thing that you would reframe.
Can you guys hit the like button for me, please? Hit the like button for me if you're watching. There's a lot of you in here, and it doesn't equal the likes. I'd like to ask Lawrence, what does a man want, Lawrence?
I never answered my question, so I'm gonna let's listen. You never answered my question. You made it very.
It's a silly question. You're a
man.
It's
not a silly question because if this is a silly question.
But here's why it's silly to me. Respectfully, it's silly to me because I would never ask a man, what does a woman want? Because you're not a woman.
Okay.
And I don't expect you to understand. So it's a little it's like a game. Like, what do men want? You don't know? Is that what it is?
But it's also relative, and it depends on the situation and the couple. Like, why are you acting like this? There's a monolith and a universal way of thinking and being in existence.
I didn't say that. There are some concrete things.
We don't live in that world anymore.
Listen, there are some concrete things.
Evolve with us.
So if my question was silly, it is equally silly for you to ask me, do I know what a woman wants? Every woman I dealt with is completely different, but there's a thread. Listen. There is a thread. There is a thread.
Yellow bus.
There is a thread. There is a thread that all women, no matter who I've dealt with, have in common. And one thing they look for, if anything, is for a man to be a leader. Now, if you can deny that, let me know.
Keep going. Go ahead.
No. You gonna? Anybody want to rebuttal that? I'm asking. Nobody want. I might make sure.
Right,
a leader.
So a leadership.
A leader.
Hold on. You're saying that that's what all women want? Leadership.
So what I'm seeing here is, I think people are failing to realize that everything has changed. Everything has changed. There are new rules, and I think a lot of people are still trying to live by old rules.
Thank you.
Especially biblical rules. I don't
find a husband and they shouldn't find this a wife.
But
right. It's crazy.
I want to find this.
Yeah,
I said it the correct way.
Go back to 1942 and you'll be happier. Okay, it's 2023.
I said that. Did I not say that?
Okay, I'm gonna push back. Women, not all women are looking for leadership. Now what?
Okay, then she's not the woman for that particular man.
Is that?
I answered your question.
Oh, wait, hold on. So all women are looking for leadership, and in the event that
I didn't say all.
Well, but Jen just asked you, what are women looking for?
Internet.
Right. What are women looking for? What are universally? What are women looking for?
So to answer that question would be a disservice. To answer that, I'm gonna give it just like you gave me. To answer that question would be a disservice to you as a woman, because your uniqueness of who you are and what your experience may be, what you has been through in your life, and how your mother or father and how they've dealt with you. So to say that will be a disservice to you as a woman. So every woman comes with a particular.
I know what type of women you attract, Hat.
Excuse me?
I know why they look for leaders too. That's for sure.
You know why do they look for leaders?
Well, I'm not going to put you on blast.
You can't put me on blast. You don't know me.
This is the internet, sir.
You don't know me, so that's.
What's number two? What's number two?
Annalisa, I get a question for you. What type of man?
What are women looking for? Number two, we didn't. Well,
I want to ask you, what type of man are you currently looking for?
Right. After we get done with Hat, we can get to.
Once again, you will not address me as that. No, you would not do that.
Okay, well then Jen can try to get the information.
No, you would answer. You would address me as Mr. Adams or Lauren.
Person you are. That's okay.
No, that's what happens. See, this is a prime example of what happens on the internet. Especially, it's good. It's very entertaining. But at the end of the day, it doesn't solve any problems. I'm about solutions.
Right, but men who has
we're at the end of the day, it's about how do we get from this point to the next point to solutions.
Throw out the old rules, start all over.
For me to disrespect you,
the reason we can't get to a solution is because you're stuck in 1932.
I have to agree with that. Lily, can you repeat what the answer was for the solution? Can you repeat that, Lily?
Destroy and rebuild. We have to throw out everything and start from scratch and reconstruct, because it's clearly not working. Clearly.
I got a question. She's right. So if we destroy and rebuild, who's going to rebuild?
Man, everybody.
That takes everybody to rebuild.
No. What are women going to do? What women going to do to rebuild?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. See what you're doing. What you're trying to do is you're trying to say that women don't have a place in rebuilding. And this is.
I didn't say that. I asked you a question.
No, you don't have to say it to say it. That's how that works.
Well, you're thinking I'm saying that.
I don't know, for you especially. And we're gonna be honest here.
I asked you a question. What brick is women bring?
Maybe when we're talking about building,
wait a minute,
black men shouldn't be a part of the conversation, because black men didn't build a current system in society. So let's put that to the side. You're about as even as women in that department. So let's put that to the side.
God damn. Okay, so let me say this.
That's not true.
Let me say this. right? I call cap. Let's be intellectually honest. A lot of us come up here and act like we're grown and sexy and so matured and advanced, okay? Lily said we throw it all away and rebuild.
How?
Lawrence, your response was, well, what's a woman going to put in? You did not say, that makes sense. As a man, here's what I would do.
Thank you.
In the rebuild.
No,
so
no,
let's be intellectually honest.
Walking red flag. Go on yourself more. I love it.
Wait, Annalicia. You automatically diminished women in the rebuild.
No.
Yes,
no.
let's be intellectually honest.
I did not say that. No.
That is what you did. Again, you didn't say it. That was the insinuation.
I asked a young lady. You asked
a lot of questions, roundabouts.
No, I asked a young lady, what would women build in the? And she said
solutions. If you were truly about solutions, because that's another thing that happens in the YouTube streets. You were talking about what happens in the YouTube streets, and Annalicia is a good example. Let me tell you what also happens on the YouTube streets. Is people come up here and act holier than thou, more knowledgeable than thou, and act like they're about resolutions and resolve. Why are we having this conversation? We should be talking about resolve. Yet the first thing you did was diminish women.
I did not diminish women.
Yes, you did.
Disagree. I asked an honest question.
You can disagree. That doesn't make you right.
She never answered. Y'all answered for her. I asked her in true honesty.
Well, in a rebuild.
In a rebuild, what would the woman rebuild? What would the woman? I asked an honest question.
You have to mute let me finish, and then I'll let you speak. But talking over me is not going to hide what I'm pointing out about your dialogue. Okay?
It's false.
So what I was saying was when you said your retort was, well, who's going to rebuild? Right? That's a negative. That's pessimistic. That's one. And Lily said everybody. And Alicia said everybody. And you said, okay, that what is a woman going to do? You did not say, oh, right, everybody. Well, let me tell you what I would do as a man to rebuild. That's a man that's about resolve.
Okay.
You're here to diminish.
You cannot diminish you cannot diminish.
Let's
you
be
cannot diminish what I said. What happens is, and I get what you're saying. I understand your point. But every time I ask a question, particularly to the woman, it's deflected, it's sidestepped, and it's generally.
No,
not to you guys.
The answer goes over his head.
Let me finish this point. Please let me finish this point. I love you, but let me finish this point. Again, that's something else that happens on YouTube a lot. Let me tell you something, and I know people are sick of me bringing them up, but my father would never fix his face to walk in a room and ask a woman what the fuck she's going to do in a rebuild. The problem with the men of today is they want to know, what are you doing first? So I know what I'm doing. A man that's about resolve, a man that's a leader does not go in, okay, and pull on his woman's skirt. He says, this is what the fuck we're going to do, and this is how we're going to fix it. My father would never fix his face, yet you sat up there and asked women what is going on 4 or 5 times. Do you not see that? We see that.
And guess what?
We see that?
Guess what? You brought up your father. Blessings to him. But I asked a question. She said, destroy the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, right?
Yes.
I asked the next thing I said was, what would the women rebuild? If they say destroy everything.
But as a leader, but as a leader, the first
I don't want leaders.
Well, no, but you claim you are.
No.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to the argument if you don't want leaders. So then there's no point. That's part of the destroying, right?
Either you are or you
don't want leaders.
Right.
Who said we don't want leaders?
No.
Either you're a leader or
you're
not.
But again,
hold on. One of the things that's important. Hold on, Glenn. One of the things that's important to note is that men are inherent problem solvers. So we're asking these questions because we're trying to solve the problem.
No, listen.
What?
Well, first of all, your pseudo evolution.
What the fuck is happening right now? This is not real.
Like, forget about it. Because we have most people.
My father came here from Puerto Rico with no fucking money. Ended up owning buildings in the Bronx and fucking Manhattan, parking lots, 2-3 jobs. He never once asked my mother because
he wasn't there.
He never
wasn't there.
asked my mother.
He wasn't there.
You. What
You
should
never,
I
you wasn't there. You was a kid.
Look.
Is
And
this
now
the
these
modern man? Is this the modern man?
I know what you are.
Because this is why women don't want men anymore. Is this the modern man? Is this the what should I do? What kind of leader do you need?
Can I say something?
The idea that men are
Please,
inherent problem
oh my God.
solvers.
It's repulsive.
What fortune cookie did you get that from? Men are inherent leaders. What do you do? Inherent
Statistics?
what?
Statistics.
If that was the case,
Facts.
shouldn't men be able to solve their own problems that they're having with late stage capitalism in the modern world? Men can't keep up in the modern world, and yet they have not been able to solve their own problems. What do you mean? Men, we're inherent in the problem. Well, then why are you so problematic if you're inherent problem solvers? What the hell?
Wait, super chat break really quickly, and then I want to pass the mic because I want to be fair. I want to welcome Lily from YB Limited. I didn't even introduce her. Miss Polly, how are you? Tristan is also on the panel. I don't want to be a hog of the mic, even though this is a great conversation. Super chat break. Thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. Don Levon says, women are already rebuilding. Men are the ones who are looking for traditional women in the U.S. like we are still living in the 1950s. Men, it's not happening. Move on.
Boom! Thank you. It's not 1942. Like, deal with it, and you can't. So that's why you're gonna end up killing yourself.
I do want to pass the mic to either Lily or Miss Polly because they have been very, very patient. Unless they don't have anything to jump in on yet, then we will pass the mic again. Miss Polly, Lily, anything?
I mean, the only thing that I was saying is either you're a leader or you're not a leader. It's either in you or it's not. And as a leader, you're just going to go right on in it, whether we care or not. Okay. Now, just because things have changed doesn't say that there's no space for leaders. It's just saying that things need to be reconstructed in a different way. Now, what does that look like? That's going to be on the part of everyone involved. It's not, but as a leader, the first thing I expect the leader to say is, let me lead. I got the first suggestion. Whether it gets shot down or not, you don't give a fuck because you're a leader.
So fucking true.
Here's the reason why I think he asked the question, why Lawrence asked the question. Because what you're saying is destroy the current structure, right? Destroy that. To blow it up, start building from the scratch, from square one, right? The point of the question of what is going to be built from the women is because you're already complaining that the current structure, which was already built by men, and so since you don't want to repeat itself, right? So if men are asking, what are women going to build? Because obviously men don't have a problem with the current structure. They're not the ones that are saying, let's blow it up. So if you're going to suggest to blow it up,
men do have a problem with their current.
No, we do have a problem with you interrupting.
Right,
but the problem with the current structure.
Don't lie to the
people. Oh my God, just let me finish. Men are not suggesting to blow up the current structure. That was not from a man. Okay, so when you guys are saying blow it up, okay, then what's the next step after you blow it up? Are you just giving us the first idea of the plan? Because it's your plan, so you're suggesting blow this up. Then what's the purpose of it, and how is it going to be rebuilt? What are you expecting from the men? Because if you said, as Jen said, men are going to lead, exactly. What men are going to do if you blow that structure up? They're going to go rebuild something very similar to that, because that's what they were going to do. So if you don't want that, and you want something different, then that's why he's saying, what are women going to build? How is this going to work best? How are we going to be able to adapt? What the new changes are going to be? Because if you lead it to men to lead, to rebuild it, they're going to rebuild something very complementary to what was already there.
Glenn, but let me answer that, Glenn. The way you explained that, sounded like leadership. If we blow it up, we're going to rebuild the same shit. The way Lawrence posed it was, well, what are women going to bring? It sounded like, what do you bring to the table? Well, what brick are women going to put up? It wasn't presented the way you just said it. I can have a conversation with you if that is how you're bringing it to the table. We could come to the table and be like, it's blown up. What roles are we going to have? How are we going to do this so we can coexist, right? And throw away I need submission. Well, I need nothing. Well, I don't need a boss bitch. All them words are divisive.
Shut the hell up.
I just have one question though. Like, do you think he actually had any room to actually get that much in before somebody jumped in on his voice? No, he didn't. He actually did it. I can't even get 5 words in without you jumping in on it.
Well, you got that out.
How did you just do it?
You got that out, didn't you?
You just
I promise you, I can assure you, I'm not giving you preferential treatment. He said what he said, and he asked what he asked. Period. And then when we challenged it, and when we tried to peel back the layers, hat was exposed, and that's what happens sometimes. And that's what a system also does. The system also exposes insecurities in infrastructure, in people, in systems, in conglomerates. Those things happen too. And unfortunately, I love the idea that you say, oh, men are going to rebuild the same. First of all, you don't know that to be true, because the system is also failing men. The patriarchy is also failing men. Men are being left behind more than any other group of people. Like, what do you mean? Men are realizing, oh, wait a minute.
Why don't you? Do you have anything to support anything that you're saying, or are you just talking out of your ass again?
Actually, I do. I do.
Can you show us? Can you show us? Please?
I'm talking. Why don't you be quiet? If I need to put a link in the chat, I'll do that when I feel like it. Like I said, late stage capitalism is affecting and hitting men harder than anyone else. That's number one. Men are realizing, wait a minute, I'm a man, specifically a white man, and I don't have the false promise of patriarchy has not been bestowed to me. It hasn't been brought to my feet. Patriarchy fails men too. And once they realize that, they're going to realize it's not a sustainable system, and they're going to have to incorporate, and they're going to have to help. And when I say help, I mean collaborate.
Well, hold on. I would like to ask some clarification there. When you say that it's failing us, what is your suggestion instead?
My suggestion would be men should be fighting men who are making the laws that fuck them in the ass, because women didn't do that.
No, I would have a completely different prescription. If I'm gonna talk about what do I think men should do? I think that men should. I think that we need to make compassion. I think that we need to make being vulnerable and things like that. I think that that rigid role, or that sort of rigid dichotomy where it's like those things are exclusively associated with femininity, that's killing men. That is absolutely harming men, and that absolutely stems from patriarchy, from masculinity, from power, from all of the bullshit that men subscribe to and lean into. Can you imagine? I'm not even gonna go there, because then people are gonna call me a pick-me and this and that. But at the end of the day, patriarchy hurts men and it hurts women. It's sustainable for a very tiny percent and segment of the population. Everybody else, men included, white men included, are going to be left behind.
Well, let me ask a question. The type of guys you're attracted to, if you think about any guys that you've dated in the past, out of that, what's the percentage of guys that when they were vulnerable, they would cry in front of you? Like, what was the percentage that you would go for? Or did you go for more of the stoic type of guy?
No, the former. I wanted you to be open and transparent. I wanted to listen. The idea that, and I'm sure it does happen, but the idea that if a man opens up to a woman and is vulnerable with a woman, her like panties are gonna like dry up like the Sahara Desert. That's just not true. Women want men to be vulnerable as well, because we associate vulnerability with safety. If you can be vulnerable with someone, if you have someone that you know they are a soft place for you to emotionally land, that is how you build that is a building block for a healthy, sustainable relationship. That is love. That is love. Be who you are. Feel what you feel. Communicate about it. Emote. The idea that men and anger are the only emotion associated with men is anger is ridiculous. The only emotion that encapsulates a man's experience or what he's able to emote is anger. That's disgusting. I couldn't imagine living in a world and not being able to express and emote and feel the full range of emotions, of human emotions. To be relegated to one emotion is terrible. So the percentage of men in my past a long time ago, when they were open with me, when they had their moments and they broke down, they were not met with disgust. No, they were met with someone who embraced them. I would embrace that. And I know a lot of women who would also do the same. I know a lot of women who encourage and advocate on behalf of men going to therapy. But you have 15-year-olds talking about, oh, I'm an alpha. Alphas don't go to therapy. I'm an alpha. Alphas don't cry. Oh, well, I'm an alpha. That's not masculine. Okay, so let's watch the suicide rates. Let's watch the clip get higher and higher then. Let's do that instead.
Let me read this comment because it was interesting. I know it's in response to, I forgot who on the panel said, well, men don't have a problem with the way things are now. I agree with Don Levon. He says men do have a problem with the current structure. We are the ones with the highest suicide rate. We are the ones crying about women's body count. We are the ones getting out passports. So I do agree. I don't think men are comfortable with the current state of things because they're always bitching and moaning online, even more so than I see women doing it. So I don't believe that men are comfortable with the way they are.
And let me say this. Hold on.
Oh my God! Here we go again.
Don't conflate and don't like be complete. Like we're not doing. I don't deal with extremes. I'm not talking about somebody who cries all day. Man or woman, if you're crying all day, you need to check into some sort of program. Period. I'm saying when you have moments, because we all, as human beings, we have moments where we break down, where we need a safe spot to emotionally land. We all have it. And I'm saying in those moments, make sure that you are that space, that safe space to land. I know a lot of women who are like that. Crying all day, no, that's a different kind of problem, man or woman.
So I want to really quickly connect because there's a lot more people in the room. Please hit that like button for me. Gracias. I do want to play the clip again for people that are new on the panel and people that are new in the room. This is what we're discussing right now.
The reason why women are losing men left and right is because for the longest time, you have been working on becoming the men that you want to marry.
Whoa.
That's a Rollo Tomasi quote.
Whoa.
Okay, ladies, you are so focused on becoming the men that you want to marry that you are passing up the men that you actually want to marry.
That right there. Go to the scripture back in Proverbs. He that findeth a wife, not he that findeth a husband that pretends to be a wife.
Dang. All right, so that's the topic for tonight. That is what we are debating. Glenn, I want to ask you, why do you think that a woman who has gained her independence, wants to work, wants to maybe bring something to the table financially, why do you think that's her trying to be a husband or trying to be a masculine or trying to be a man?
Okay, I'm going to answer the question by asking a question at the same time, not to you, but to any guy that's listening in this area. Have you guys experienced women that are in workforce now, like, the higher ups? Have you found them to be less feminine?
No.
That's okay.
No.
Two.
Listen. What you got to understand is,
my God.
What you have to understand is, and I want to disagree a little bit with, I'm sorry, I can't see her name, Alicia, just a little bit, not totally, because I think the brains of men and the brains of women are they do have a difference of thinking. There are different ways you look at it. That being said, it doesn't mean that, in other words, it's kind of crazy. When I was growing up, women were supposed to be nurses, right? And men were supposed to be doctors. And they always, the men, I'm not going to go to a female. All I do is pick female doctors. Why? Because I think females are more detail oriented. I mean, that's, I think they're very strong detail oriented. I think men, do look like when a woman says, I got this problem, men are looking to try to fix that problem. They might not know how to, but I think that is something in us, biologically. But no, women women do, like I said, a lot of them are shooting up to the top because they are detail oriented and they are good bosses. There's nothing wrong with a female at the top.
Nobody's saying that there was anything wrong with it. I just simply asked if you asked.
No, I don't think they're more masculine.
Masculine.
No.
Okay, that's your opinion. But if we did, I could bring up the studies right now if you would like. I could bring up the slides because I could do that, not just say things.
Where are these studies at? Like the church?
No, these are actually it has nothing to do with the church. I mean,
I'm playing.
Pew Research. There's a whole lot of studies that are out there that support this.
Well, while you're looking that up, let me say.
I don't have to look it up. I could pull it up. I'm
okay, as you pull this up, I'd like to make this comment. I don't. It's hard to get a word in here sometimes, but I would like to thank Tristan for putting up the Michael Jackson picture, so I'm not the least attractive person in here. And yeah.
Oh, you got it, no sense.
Thank you very much. I mean, got a beautiful panel there.
So you're thank you, no saint. So Glenn, the studies or the whatever the studies, the polls say that women who are in the workforce are more masculine. Is that what you're getting at?
No, from a man's point of view, when they asked men, do they find women to be more masculine today than previous generations? And the majority said yes.
Okay.
The majority of men said yes, women tend to be more masculine, and they've had to become that way. Why? Well, because of broken marriages, moms had to be both mom and dad. Okay, they had to assume a role that they never really originally signed up for.
That's not why. That's not why, and we know it's not why.
Anna, you gotta let him finish. Let him finish.
Why are
Anna, I get it, but be respectful.
I feel like
I get it.
You fucking locker, like
just let him finish. That's it. You can hold on.
Go ahead, Glenn.
What I was saying is that in many cases, moms had to be both mom and dad because the dad was not there for whatever reason, whether she left him, whether he was a dick and he left and ran off, whatever the case is, she assumed that position. She had to play both. And it's safe to say when you have to assume another role that is not your role that you were originally signed up to play, you're going to end up having to adapt to some of the traits that the individuals in that role have. So yes, it's safe to say, based off of the way things have been going with the divorce and the way that the broken families are, that moms had to play both roles, which means that it's safe to say that she assumed more masculine traits over time. And then as time went on, those traits would get passed on to the next generation. You need to be like this. You can't expect a man to take care of you. Okay, you need to be able to be independent. You stand on your own. You don't need no man. Those are all things that empower women, which is great. Nobody's denying that. Nobody's even complaining about that. But in the process of that, when they have to focus on the point of denying femininity to a degree, and they're focusing on things that they originally generations were not focused on, okay, then they have lost what they could consider the femininity that previous generations of men would tell younger men what to look for in a woman. So from that male perspective, when men see what they see in women now, and from what they were told to look for in a woman, they're two different things. They're not there. So of course, from a male perspective, that point of view is, oh, these women are masculine compared to what I was told to look for in a woman. So it's safe to say that men will come to that conclusion that women today are more masculine based off of what the reference was that they said that a woman was before.
Glenn, so let me ask you a question. First of all, I agree with you. That's the first thing. Second thing is, why is there so much emphasis on the newly found masculine woman and not on the feminine man? Because
it's actually there's both.
On the flip side, this is what I've seen, and this is not younger generations. This is men of my age and a little younger and a little older, all over social media. The most effeminate men I have ever seen in my life. And if somebody told me back when I was 20 something, when you get in your 40s, girl, it's going to be nothing but a bunch of man bitches everywhere you look. I would have said, no, it's not. That's not true. Men are always going to be masculine. Men are always going to be men. But I noticed there's a lot of emphasis on this new masculine woman. What about all the man bitches? What about the men that are complaining, bitching, and mowing online all day about what women aren't doing anymore? And women don't want to cook pies and suck my dick on time. Like, what about all those men? Why aren't men checking men so they can be men? Why so much emphasis on the woman? I think here's what I would think would happen in natural evolving. I would think if the woman is becoming more masculine, then the man should become extra masculine. But what the man did was become feminine instead of extra masculine to match a woman that's now more masculine, right? But it's like the gender role change is like a fucking episode of Twilight Zone. Why isn't there more emphasis on the man bitches? Because it's a lot of them. And I think, and people don't like this statement, but I think that women want men, but men need women. Hence the suicide rate, hence the loneliness, hence the divorce. Men say we control marriage, but women control divorce 75 to 80% of the time. So it seems to me like it's men that aren't catching up, not women that are too masculine. It's men that are having the darndest time evolving with this new woman. Where's the masculinity? How did everybody get so feminine? It's foreign to me. It's weird.
Can I answer a couple, make a couple points to that? And you're right. Because I have said this before. Men need to realize that they're playing with books from old rules. They're looking at the old rule book, right? They're not capable of playing with the modern day because they're playing game by a different set of books. Okay, there's different set of rules, and they're reflecting on the rules from yesteryear and not the rules of today. I have said that in the last big stream that we did when me and Ish had our differences in our opinions. Okay. Again, now you asked, why have men become so feminine? And you're right. That's a huge problem. And I admit it. There's a bunch of pussies walking around portraying to be masculine or portraying to be men, but they're just imitations of men. Okay. The problem is there's that has been taught, that has been told, and they have been conditioned to do so. I also made the statement on here before too, is that the men that we have today, women have created. Okay.
And
so
can
I finish my statement?
The women were created by men and the men were created by women.
Can I finish my statement? Because I know you probably get the answer if you let me finish. What I was saying by that is by the way that we have, one, let's face it, when we have to go from toxic masculinity, we make this blanket statement, and I know that's recent, but I'm going to use that as an example. When we say masculinity is toxic, it's inherently toxic, right? And then because that's where it's at now, Lily, because they're saying it was toxic masculinity, and now they're saying overall masculinity in itself is just toxic. I mean, you have what's his name, the director from Avatar, that says testosterone is toxic. Well, testosterone is natural. He's saying testosterone in itself is toxic. He's saying basically men are filled with just. He said that.
Yeah,
he said
I'm
that.
like, I'm trying to think. That sounds like one person because
But a man
Yes.
platform said it, not a woman.
I know. I'm trying to show the rhetoric that's being told to men. Okay, so we're hearing masculinity is toxic. There's toxic traits now. Now, just the traits that you have are toxic, and then they list the traits, and the listing of the traits are being competitive. Okay, that's like always been a good thing. Being a risk taker, that's always been a good thing. Okay, these are
when has risk taking ever been good? What?
Okay, when you build buildings, you take a risk to build a building. You build a bridge, it takes a risk to build a bridge. Those are risk-taking things to defend people.
What?
Is that?
So I'm sorry. Architecture is risky now. What?
Did you ever?
It always has been. What are you talking about? The skyscrapers that you have out there, it wasn't risky to go all the way up there to build it.
No, but you're saying that those things are. You're saying that the risk taking is. You said that it's a bad thing. Sorry.
No, I said it's a good thing. But when you label it toxic, if it falls under the characteristics of someone with toxic masculinity, then you are painting it out to be a bad thing.
No, that one person is painting it out to be.
No. I'm the APA.
That's why
the APA.
Men are leaving men behind, but they're mad at women for it. Like you don't live up to men's but men's archetype of masculinity and power and strength, and you're not living up to another man's ideology, and you're mad at women. No.
Nobody said that. First of all, you're taking things out of context.
No, you didn't say it, but I'm telling.
Okay, so if I didn't say it, then why are you going to put words in my mouth? Why don't you just say exactly what I said?
This is the summation, okay?
No, that's your summation.
You're mad at other men who think that you're.
No, I'm not. No, I'm showing examples. If I'm trying.
Glenn, you really have to calm down. You're getting very angry.
What I'm trying to say is, you're asked why men have become so feminized. Because I'm just saying that over time, we have scolded
them. That's it.
Yes. I said we have the men that we have today. Women have created in the sense of. Let me explain. I'm going to answer that question if you let me explain.
You're so smart. You've been explaining nonsense all night.
No, you're the only one that's been explaining nonsense. I have to ask the
question. What is a woman's role? What is that? Can someone tell me what a woman's role is?
I get in the modern day today. I think that we're figuring that out. We're in the beginning stages of wondering what that is and trying to figure that out and navigate that.
What was it?
Honestly,
what was it in the golden ages? What was it in the time where someone like that Hat, where he would thrive and where you would thrive? What was it?
I'm thriving now, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I think what you're trying to talk about is
Lawrence, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I want to know what a woman's role was. And then
I think it was supposed to be to take care of the family, to nurture a good family.
Right. Okay.
Take care of the kids.
Who wrote these rules, first of all?
Stay home. Right. Okay. So why? Why do you think that was her role?
I don't really understand the question.
So do you think that
it's how we naturally fit? It's how we naturally fit. It's a yin and yang, the male and female energy.
Hold on. So you think that there is something inherent in women that makes them want to stay home and rear children, whereas men should be out there working, and the reverse couldn't be true?
I didn't say the reverse couldn't be true.
No, but if we're talking about things that are inherent, there's nothing more rigid than that, right? Like if something is inherent or biological to someone's psyche, you're saying that that's inherent and biological to women, right? So back then, the reason that they were doing it is because it's just inherent in them and not men, right?
Yeah, in the same way that it was inherent for us to want to go out and solve problems and to kill.
Right. But did women have rights back in the high time, back in the good old days, the day that they were the good old boys club, where you guys would love to live in the robe with the hat and
I love how you speak for us, because nobody's saying that.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Never said that.
Wait a minute. You're talking about women who couldn't choose to work outside the home. If you take an option, a lifestyle, if you take choices away from people, guess what? They tend to do what they're forced to do. You understand?
You go out there and hunt.
Let me hold on. I'm going to give you one example.
You could go out there and hunt.
I'm not hunting. I want to give one example, because this conversation.
You've been talking around in circles all night.
Very low vibrational. I'm going to give you an example. In Scandinavia. Okay, Hat. Hat. We've heard it all from you, Hat. Okay.
You're not hunting, right?
I'm
you want the man to hunt for you. Come on.
Well,
I'm going to give you an example. In Scandinavia, they have laws.
Right.
We're not in Scandinavia. What are you talking about?
Right, but we're also not in 1952. So why the hell why are we talking about what you're talking about?
Listen, Glenn. I'm going to ask Glenn, let me say something. You gave some good points. I am an advocate on YouTube for men acting out of character and being girly men, whatever you want to call them. I don't tolerate the crybabies. I don't tolerate them talking about these women are doing this and these women doing that. If that's the problem, you chose the damn woman. You need to deal with it. I advocate that on my channel. Now, everybody else, I can't speak for.
Well,
now,
Mike.
Oh,
let me go.
So wait, let me add something. He brought something up, and this is what we're talking about. Things have changed when he said, "Will you hunt, or would you want to hunt, or can you hunt?" Hunting has never been. I mean, I get there's some skill to it, but you have guns now. It's not like we're running around with spears trying to track people down.
She asked the point, like, you know, what like when societies were building, when we were from the village stage, when we were just a bunch of group of people running around together, right? Naturally, men went and hunted. Okay?
Yeah, we used our strength, but the times have changed.
So but that's the preferences of what she was saying. She's like, what was he trying to get to? He was saying, from the time, she said, inherently, that means it's been in us. This is something that we have continued to do. We have continued to have certain, to deny that they have been, for the longest time until more recent years, that we have been doing traditional or similar gender roles. There's been always these specific gender roles that individuals would play and do, okay? That was not only just socially acceptable, but it was also created because of abilities and strength, right? Like, it wasn't, you weren't going to go send the women out to go fight the saber-tooth tiger or fight the other opposing male army. No, you would send the men out to go do that. Why? Because one, you saw women as the incubators of life, because they were the only ones that could carry a baby, right? So it's like we have to protect them. Why? Because then our lineage would end. So inherently, we have grown accustomed to having these things. Also, for an example, when there's an active shooter or there's a gun, some guy pulls a gun out, who typically runs towards the gun? The gunman. You know, besides Jen, because I know we all know Jen will go out there, take off her heels, and stab the guy in the throat. Yeah, we already know that.
Oh my God!
We already know she can do it. And you know what? Yeah, don't do that again, because you might get this whole thing shut down. YouTube.
Yeah, you can't do that, Jen.
Channel. There's a million gun channels on YouTube. Stop the cap.
But Glenn,
I subscribe to a lot of them.
But Glenn, so what we're saying, but that's exactly, I understand exactly what you're saying. And by the way, I think we have too many white people on here for
real. This is like over.
Jim, I don't like where this channel's going.
This is like over affirmative action. This is like affirmative
action. I can find plenty of other channels that only have.
What happened to the affirmative action thing we were doing? Like,
no, it's too many. Like, it's just me and no saint. Okay.
But I want to say real quick, let me finish. But what I'm saying, Glenn, is I agree with you, but that's kind of where we're at now, that women are women are in the military now because the military has changed. And it's not that they've changed the rules, it's that there's jobs now that you don't have to be on the front lines. You can be pushing a button and sending a rocket somewhere. So the society has changed. So those roles, men really have to find out where we're at in this society. It's not, the society's not going to change. It's not going back. The only way it goes backwards is we have like a total collapse.
Exactly.
I have another question though. Can anybody figure out why is Jen's gun right next to her on a panel and she's safe in her home? Nobody questioned that threat. Like, she's a threat 24/7.
Most of you guys keep a bottle of lotion next to you. I don't say anything. Do I question your bottle of lotion that's next to you right now? Leave me out of it, all right?
You went awake.
What's on the other side, Jen?
You never question the roses next to her bed pillow.
Glenn, I do want to say this. Glenn, can you answer this for me? You keep saying, rightfully so, you keep saying that men are using old books, there's new rule books, right? Then isn't it asinine? Wouldn't the Bible be obsolete?
Absolutely not for those.
Bring up a book.
It would be
thousands of years ago about gender roles and gender specific. So the Bible can stay 4,000 years old. That can stay. But you're saying that the men are using old
want to emphasize on the H, a heathen.
That's right.
I want you to get the breeze. The Bible says Jesus breathed on them.
That's right.
A heathen.
Amen.
You are on the line.
People pick and choose what they want from religion, whatever is convenient for their life and the life that they want.
Can you answer that? Why the fuck are we going into the Bible for gender roles and marriage and relations in the year 2022? It should be the most obsolete book regarding
again, okay, when I was when we were in that conversation that the clip was taken from, if you watched it from beginning to end, all right, and got all the information, you would have got your answer. But I'm going to give it to you in a quick one.
Thank you.
From that conversation stemmed from the failures of the modern day church. That was the premise. The premise was that the modern day church has failed. The church has failed it to do its job for those that believe. Now, from that perspective, that was the point of the argument, right? Is that I'm saying, because when you look at the church, if you're looking at divorce, right? And as you said, 70% of divorces are by women. And you would think that maybe the church that's supposed to be this pillar of strength or guidance, or, you know, this group of people that's supposed to lead the way, right? You would think that they would have a significantly lower number than everybody else, right? And when it comes to divorce, but they don't. They're actually, the number is about 30%. So if we have 50% of them, 50% of marriages going to divorce, and then 30% of marriages in the church are divorcing, then you're saying that there's not much difference there. So you're thinking that, like, you would think that if the church is supposed to be the pillar, they should have no divorce, right? If they were abiding by this book, as you said. And I said the reason why that is not happening is because there was a failure within the church to do its job to hold both men accountable and to hold both women accountable. And since the church is not being accountable in itself to what it's supposed to be doing. So the demographic that I was speaking about was not everybody. I was speaking about this specific group of people where their failures are just as similar as everyone else.
Doesn't it further confirm that the Bible is obsolete when the people that are supposed to live and die by it, it's not even helping them?
Well, see, I would no.
You got that echo, Jan.
Somebody's watch your mics. Everybody mute your mics. So doesn't it further confirm what I'm saying? If the people that are supposed to uphold the law, it's not even working for them. Their divorce rate matches everybody else's, the quote unquote heathens, as Tristan pointed out.
No, what I was getting at is that due to the lack of accountability within that structure, okay, because if accountability was still in place, right, and if the church was doing its job, then you could say that, or at least speculate or theorize, if you want to say it that way, is that if the church was doing its job and it was holding men accountable and it was holding women accountable, then the divorce rate in the church most likely would be a lot less, because they would be abiding by the principles or their book or their Bible, their rules, whatever you want to call it, correctly to the letter. And if they were doing that, then they probably wouldn't experience that much increase in divorce. Because it would be on a checks and balance system as it's supposed to with accountability. So from that perspective, when you're saying the divorce rate in the church is so high because there's no difference in the way that the church approaches divorce as anybody else. So is it the problem with the book, or is it the problem with the people that are in leadership that are not implementing the standards or the structure that they're supposed to? That's where I was going at with that entire stream yesterday, was specifically talking about the flaws and the failures of an organization that doesn't even uphold its own principles that it preaches. So how can they go out on the corner and tell everybody else about this, that, and the third, when they're not even upholding the structure as it's supposed to be held within their own community?
Okay, my answer is the book, not the people not being accountable. It's the book, because people in the church are still in 2022. The book is archaic. The book no longer makes sense. The people are in 2022, not back.
Well,
the principles.
Look at what he was saying. 30% of marriages end in divorce with the church, whereas 50% without the church. So already it's doing something beneficial. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's already better than the alternative. So how can it be archaic and not work when it's shown that it's better than the average?
Well, Glenn said that it was the same. So I'm going by what Glenn said.
No, I said there's not much difference. I said it's 30% in the church, and if 50% of divorces take place outside of the church, and out of those 50%, 70% are initiated by women. So I'm saying, like, I'm looking at all this, the divorce statistics, right? I'm labeling out. There's 50% of marriages all end in divorce, okay? And then when you break that into a smaller subgroup, then you look at the church. Out of all of the church people that go to church, 30% of marriages end in divorce, right? So it's a subgroup out of the bigger number.
Right.
So that's what I was explaining, and I was saying, like, because it's shown, because I could prove this. The statistics show this, that even in the church, and as Lily pointed out, and thank you, like, they're not even upholding. They're picking and choosing what verses and what scriptures to uphold because it fits a narrative for them. There's still a human error. So you're saying throw away the book, and I'm saying the book may not even be the problem. The problem could be the people in the leadership that's not able to follow through with it, and they're picking and choosing what they want out of it rather than accepting the whole thing as a whole. Now, that's just a theory. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that could be a theory. So the theory is if it was applied the way that it was written, right, in principle, and adapted to the newer days, right? Because really what these scriptures are saying, when everybody gets mad about submission, right, and the understanding what that meant then is different than it is now, and how we view it now. See, and I think I said this before on here, there's a difference between obedience and submission. Obedience is, I'm going to obey the law because I don't want to go to jail, right? But submission says, you know what, I want my country or my community to be in peace, so I'm going to willfully, and I choose and I desire to not do anything that's going to disrupt the peace in my community. So I'm going to submit to the law rather than be combative with the law. All right. So there's a difference in that in the way that they understand submission and obedience. All right. So when they're saying wives submit to your husbands, it wasn't that they had to. It was that because she already loved her husband and loved what he was going to do for her and what he provides for her, that it was just like, as you said, Jen, it was an easy submission. It wasn't, nothing had to be forced. No one had to tell her to submit because it just flew naturally. That's how they're trying to say what relationships are supposed to be like. That's what the entire context of it is said, is that men are supposed to love their wives. All right, they're supposed to give up to the point where they would give up their life for their wives, go to the farthest ends of the earth to protect their wives. Not this put me first. It was always the two people were never looking at each other. They were always supposed to look at the other one. So you can't be focused on you if you're looking at me, and I can't be focused on me if I'm looking at you, because that's how it's supposed to be.
So I wanted to ask husband something, because he said, well, it's only 30%, blah, blah. I'm like, but do you think those people are staying in divorces miserably because they believe in the Bible says you're not supposed to get divorced? So they're just sticking with it because of the Bible rules. Also, aside from in principle, right? Aside from in principle, I believe the majority of human beings are not monogamous. The Bible pushes monogamy, but the majority of human beings are not monogamous. They proved it for centuries, not for decades. They proved it for centuries. And now in 2022, with the explosion of social media, we have ass and dick buffets everywhere. It's not just men that are looking at ass all day. Women are looking at ass, abs, dick prints, big asses all fucking day on social media. We live in an ass buffet world, right? Now you add that to we're not naturally monogamous, and divorce is inevitable. Marriages are doomed.
On top of the fact,
then you're gonna have a 4,000-year-old book saying you're supposed to be one man and one woman and 2.5 kids in a pick and fence. It's unrealistic.
And on top of the fact that most people are lying to themselves and saying that they're marrying for love when it's really transactional.
Yes.
So if they tell the truth from the
relationships
jump,
are transactional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't it say in the Bible? Doesn't it say in the Bible, like, it wasn't like the state was supposed to be separate, and then we've involved the state, and it became a financial transaction. So it goes against what the entire institution of marriage was supposed to be to begin with.
But then how far back are you talking about? Because marriages, remember, were for power and to keep money and kingdoms and empires. How far back are we talking?
That's not how I understand it. I do not believe that that's how it's stated in the Bible.
Again,
I could be wrong.
So basically, again, you can't, and this is where the argument never works out, okay? Because in order to reference the Bible at this juncture, you have to understand that everybody has to be able to see it from the same worldview, okay? But if they don't, you're showing two different worldviews. It's like putting on two different sets of glasses. When you put on the glasses that she's wearing, you're not seeing the same thing that you would see if you put on the glasses that you're wearing. So when you have a different worldview on things, it's difficult to see from their point of view. And that's what I'm trying to explain here, is that what we were talking about in the stream was specific to a group of people that hold a specific worldview that is no longer considered popular or no longer considered relevant by many. But for that group in specific, that we're talking about, that group is still having the same issues that everybody else is. And the question was why? And then when we dig deeper and we look into things, and if you listen to the stream, the things that I point out that the church, the structure, or the leadership is failing to do, right, according to its own rules, the Bible, since they're failing to uphold what they're supposed to do, that's where you're saying, oh, because they are failing here, they're not upholding what they're supposed to do. No wonder why the people within that group are suffering and not seeing what they're supposed, or fulfilling what they're supposed to believe that they're supposed to be fulfilling.
So then why even continue practicing it? So 20% of the population can stay married? Like, what's the purpose? What's the point?
The point, what I'm saying.
Well, to what I want to say, because you were saying before that that maybe they're staying, and that's why it's 30%. They're staying because religiously they know that divorce is wrong. I wouldn't say that's the 20% gap. A lot of people don't follow it that strictly. I could give it 10, but it's just, regardless, 40% versus 50%, it just shows that following a certain structure within the church has shown to be better than not being in the church. That's my opinion.
This is a serious question. Does it actually say in the Bible, like, divorce is wrong? Divorce is wrong.
Yeah.
So
it actually
does it have?
Oh, if you want, I'll explain. It actually only gives one exception.
Okay.
For divorce, in the context. Okay, and I'll explain it to you. So Moses actually wrote that they're allowed to have divorce, and he allowed them to basically divorce for whatever reason. And when Jesus came to earth, and when the Pharisees asked him, can a man divorce his wife for any reason, and Jesus said, from the beginning, divorce was never supposed to be, but because since Moses gave you the law because of your wicked hearts, I say to you that if a man divorces his wife for any other reason other than infidelity, he causes her to become an adulteress. And if he remarries, then the person that he marries becomes an adulteress as well. Saying that, so
real quick, but that's only if she cheats.
No.
No, because men in the Bible had many wives.
Yes,
many wives.
Yes, but
so see where that's coming from? That's coming from patriarchal.
Let me explain.
Yeah, my question is, what were people doing for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the Bible showed up and saved us?
Whatever the fuck they wanted, Lily.
Actually, not really. If you really, this is kind of a pushback from what Jen said about the groups of people not being monogamous. Actually, that's not necessarily true. Yes, there was many groups from the very founding times that were not monogamous. And you could even consider like the Vikings, they were very not monogamous. They slept with everybody. All of them did it together. Even the Romans at the time, they were all doing their thing together too with the orgies and stuff, right? But if you looked in Asia, they were monogamous. If you look over here, there was sections of the world, people were practicing monogamy. It wasn't just the people that actually had this book or even knew about these things. Even more like Muslims, they were practicing monogamy. There was a lot of
I don't want to confuse staying in a marriage with monogamy.
I know, but you were saying that you were saying it's not. I was just referencing your point that you said it's not natural for people to be monogamous, and I could say I understand where you get that from, and there's a good argument for that, and there's also a good argument that people are monogamous by nature.
But I disagree.
That's fine. I was just pointing out like.
Okay. I'm just saying the reason why I disagree is because you can't bring up one culture like in China. They were monogamous at one point from 19 blah blah to blah blah. In this country, people are not monogamous. Before this country, people were not monogamous. Now, staying married is a whole different thing, but I've been on this planet 49 years in a couple of days, okay? And I can tell you my entire life, I've seen nothing but married people who were gay, straight, purple, white, green, blue, black, Muslim, Christian, Catholic, Baptist, all of them cheating motherfuckers, the men, the women, the gays, whoever. It is fucking natural. And it seems like,
you know why?
No.
Let me finish my point and then you guys can jump in. It seems like hell, and the only thing that's keeping them monogamous is what their mama gonna say, what Jesus gonna say, what hell is gonna say if they die. That's not natural monogamy. That's monogamy because of consequences. The natural of us is like, damn, he look good. Damn, he look good too. Damn, he look good, but I'm not gonna fuck him because they're gonna call me a slut. I can't fuck him because that's my sister's husband. I can't fuck him because God don't want. But our nature is what that mouth do, and God damn what that mouth do. That's our nature. That's our nature. Now,
here's a question for you though.
A whole other different situation.
Can I ask a question based off what you just said?
See.
Are there things in our nature, our human nature, that we may desire to do because it's our nature, that are not good for us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But it's still in our nature.
Exactly. But we create things and we go, oh, this is not good for us. We shouldn't do this. Although we may want to, we shouldn't do this. So
right, but I think doing cocaine is different from penetration.
Well, but the principle is not
sex is natural. Sex is natural.
Yes, the sex is natural. But what?
But what things are you talking about?
I'm using.
Sex is good for us.
But I'm starting first from the very principle of it. The principle fact, because I can't build anything until I have a foundation. So principally, you could say that, you know what? Some of the things that we may desire to do may not be good for us.
Like?
Okay, like you said cocaine.
Right.
You know what? Doing cocaine may not be good for you. Why? Because in the long run, it could give you health problems. You could die from it. You know, you could end up doing some dumb shit while you're on it and then hurt other people. So there's consequences to doing that necessarily outweigh the reward of it.
Now, is cocaine a biological need or just natural?
I'm using the principle. I'm sorry, still starting from the principle. Okay, so if people are having sex, right? Because it's good for us. It's great for us. But then if nobody's taking responsibility of the children after that sex, right? If they're just fucking and dipping out, right? So now all the women are just having stuck with the kids, right? Because these dudes are just fucking spreading their seed all over the place. That is not good for us either as a society. That's not good for the family. It's not good for the kids, right? We all could say that. So then you put this structure, we call it monogamy, right? Said, hey, no. It's better for the children or our future generations, right? To have this structure in place where we have a father and a mother, right? And that they show both masculine and feminine traits into that child equally so that that child could be well-rounded and that child will be more successful. Now that has been proven to be successful. We have seen in history that structure has been what has created future generations and to the point where we're here today. So we could say by overall that although it may not be natural to us, it kind of goes against our natural desire or our innate desire, but as a species, it has helped us continue to be prosperous and continue to have generations to follow.
But now I feel like family is definitely a family unit is definitely very useful to have bringing up well-rounded children, but family can come in so many different forms, and having it stuck in that one road and say you got to go down this road or else, you know, is where I think, because it's not working.
Well, let's look at, like, and I believe it's not working. Absolutely. And I think we talked about this in our last stream. Men have dropped the ball. Men have felt, we've acknowledged that. We get that point. We trust me. Every guy I think that's on this panel understands. Look, you're a replica of the fuckers from the past. All right. So just get over it. All right. You're gonna have to carry the burden. We get that. We get the blame. We got it. The problem is now is that we have to have accountability. And this is what I've said before. We have to have accountability on both sides. There has to be accountability on both sides. And when we were talking about that in the stream, we're saying that the one institution that used to be a pillar for people, that used to be able to be that accountability check for them, is not an accountability check anymore. Because even that structure has eroded and have failed to do what it's supposed to do. So if you were understanding what I was saying in the stream, is that why we're seeing women say that they're successful and they can't find the man, their husband. They're looking for, a man to marry, and they're struggling finding it, is because things have, whereas we're in this new era of relationships and how people do relationships, as we are doing away with the old, the majority of couples are doing away with the old, even when it comes to gender roles, and even when it comes to positions and authority, or whatever this case may be. Now we have this chaos. We're in this sense of chaos at the moment, right? Because we don't, as Jen pointed out, what is the new way to do it? Nobody knows. Nobody has a plan yet for this new terrain, because none of us have traveled it before. So we're all kind of figuring it out together at the same time.
Okay, and that's why we need to stop blaming each other. But really quickly, super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Haran DeMarco. He's not on today because he's spending time with family, as he should. Thank you for the super chat. Haran DeMarco says all relationships, platonic or romantic, are inherently whatever. When you approach each situation as utilitarian and concentrate on the value you provide and demand to receive, you win. Also, these two really quickly before you guys continue talking, something Coco said I have to disagree with. She said that's not necessarily true. People who make God the cornerstone of their foundation in their marriage do not typically go outside their marriage. If they cheat on their spouse, they cheat on God. That's cap. All them preachers and pastors are fucking the congregation. The Catholics are fucking little boys. That's crap. I agree with Miss Polly. She says church does not really focus on family issues, just relationships with God. And I think that's why it doesn't necessarily benefit marriage, because everything is don't go against God. Don't go against God. And they're like, all right, I could go against my wife and fuck this other lady in my job though, right? Long as I ask God for forgiveness. So I think that we need an entire other system. Holding on to the nuts of religion is not going to work. It probably worked for a little while, like Glenn said, because when people put religion, it was like, oh shit, I'm scared of this. Now we're in the age where nobody's really scared of God. No one's really scared of fucking going to jail. We keep it 100. Everybody's been doing whatever they wanted to do, how they want to do it. That system doesn't work. The fear of hell, the fear of a wrath of God no longer fucking works. And these new kids, these TikTok millionaires, don't give a fuck about a Jesus. If you think they do, you're crazy. They're making money hand over fist. They don't give a rat's damn. They don't care about marriage. They care about the fucking bag. So it's not working. All these old people are still stuck on, but Jesus said, and we can't divorce. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares.
What I was referencing, and I want to get to that. That's your worldview, Jen, and I respect that.
It's not just my
no. You can't speak for everybody, though. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about. I'm speaking for the people. I was speaking to the people and for the people that believe this structure, that still believe in this, regardless what you think they should believe in or not, regardless whether you think that they should just do away with it or not. It's irrelevant. But but even that's still irrelevant, because I'm not pushing their view. I'm not pushing a different view on them that they already didn't hold. I'm talking about the view that they hold and why it's not working for them as it was before, right? Is because they're not implementing it in the way that it was done before. Okay, so maybe that's a theory, right? So I'm saying maybe if you guys implemented it and practiced it in the way that previous generations did, that was more accountable to the structure and the principle of it, maybe they would have more success in that area.
But Glenn, I'm not pushing anything on anybody. I have eyes, I have ears, okay, I have a mouth. I can see how people are talking about religion. The younger generations don't give a fuck about a Jesus. That has nothing to do with my belief. I'm actually glad to see them come into their own and knowing right from wrong,
absolutely,
consequences on their own. What I'm saying is that we're always talking about back in my day, but my grandparents, but they used to implement the church. That is fucking cap. Back then, our grandfathers were fucking cheating and had families across the way. It's just now we have the internet, so now we can see with screenshots that everybody's cheating. Human beings have never changed. Every fucking couple centuries, well, this new religion changes it, so everybody's quiet for 5 years because these threats sound really, really serious. And then humans grow out of that. And then another 500, oh shit, there's a new God and a new religion, and this one sounds serious. And these Catholics, and I don't, my soul doesn't want to be. And then they grow out of that. Human beings always find a way to fucking grow out of religion. Religion and fear of a God in hell does not work. Even the quote unquote, back in my day, they were fucking too. They were fucking the sisters in the Catholic. Let me. The boys in the Catholic Church. It does not work. It's a system that does not work, but it's a system that a lot of heathens hide behind. Like, I'm not really a sinner.
Absolutely. Everybody's a heathen. Everybody's a hypocrite. You know what? I would say the church is full of hypocrites.
Religion lets people hide who they really are and hide that from people that they can harm. Okay. But people have always been pieces of shit from the beginning.
Let me say this, because I heard a lot. You didn't punch the bag on religion. I appreciate it. I know maybe you don't believe in Jesus and God and all like that.
No,
I'm cool with that. But on the same token, no matter what, you said something earlier that caught my attention. You said that people are cheating, people are having sex and monogamy and poly and this and that. You know what? When it comes down to it, everyone has a free will and have a choice whether they sleep with that woman or she sleeps with him. And what we have not did is hold the people accountable for the choices that they do. So we can hide it, like you said, on the religious. There's people in religions are doing this, or people in Muslims are doing this, or the people in Baha'i are doing this. But we never come back to the human element that I have a choice if I want to lay with you. You have a choice if you want to lay with me. It's a choice. Now we can say, oh, it's human nature. We all have human nature. But it's a choice whether I want to interact that human nature and do something. And what we cannot rob people of is their ability to make choices.
Or now, the responsibility of the consequences of those choices.
Robbing people of making choices.
You rob the people of their choice when you say, well, it's just human nature. That means
I'm not robbing them of their choice. Who said that? I'm not robbing them of their choice. I'm telling them it is human nature that you go to your office and want to fuck your secretary. Okay, that's human nature. I'm not robbing you of the choice.
No.
It's yours after that.
Wait
a minute. I didn't say, you can't put words in my mouth. I didn't say that you don't have a choice. You want to fuck her. That is a fact. Okay. You want to fuck that lady. Now,
do you do it?
But it's up to you whether you do or don't. But it's natural that you want to fuck her.
Absolutely. Nobody's denying that part.
Not denying that. It's not. No, it's a choice whether I do that to her or not.
Exactly.
You can't say, well, it's religion is the reason why. It's a reason why they do it.
Nature that you wanted to. That was my
point. But even with nature, it's natural to want to have sex. It is my natural ability to make a choice to do it.
Right.
Would you agree?
You have to weigh the consequences.
No. Would you agree?
You have to weigh the consequences.
Would you agree that
it's natural to want to fuck her? It is natural.
I ask you a question. Would you agree that it's my natural ability to make a choice?
Everybody has a choice. I'm not saying that people don't have a choice. Why are we missing
exactly? This is the thing. So when we try to use religion and say, hey, it's because religion fails, because it ain't as good, it's antiquated and things like
that. Religion does fail. Men have proved that.
No, listen.
Men have cemented.
But guess what? You know what? Guess what? But that is your view. See, if you listen to the full stream, we came after the men, we came after the women, we even came after the church.
I'm not coming
after. But you did when you said religion has failed.
When I said, because religion has failed for centuries. Religion has failed for centuries. not nail your boy to the cross? Religion has failed.
Well, who though? You haven't answered that question.
Religion has failed for centuries because human beings are not having it. Don't blame me.
Exactly. I know you're right. Can I make a statement to that? So could it be that maybe hypothetically, could it be religion has failed, or is it the people that said they're going to be practicing this religion have failed?
Thank you.
Yes.
Could it be the people? How could it be? Could it be this or this?
I look at politics and religion.
Right. Religion is a power thing. I'm going to give you rules. I don't like what's going on now. So I'm going to get together with my boys. I'm going to write this stuff down. We're going to say a God told us to do it. Put the fear of fucking fire in your ass. And then you're going to follow. And that's what we're going to do. Now, here's this book. Right?
So I got a question.
People, oh shit, the book. Who wrote the book? They said God did. Who the fuck is a God? It's some guy in the sky. He going to kill everybody. All right, let's follow. And then humans are going to human. Humans will human. There is nothing, there's not a religion written on this earth that humans are going to follow to the letter because it's not natural.
You're right, because it requires exactly. Nobody's going to follow. It's just like
people I know have a Bible in their nightstand.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Because nobody is perfect. None of us are perfect. We're all flawed. We are all flawed. We all fuck up.
But I'm gonna say that this is my issue, and I think and Jen, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but this is what I'm hearing, right? And let me just come from my perspective, because I grew up in the church, parents, the pastors, all of that stuff, okay? And I grew up with all the rhetoric, all the stuff. I've heard it a million, trillion, billion times. So then I rebelled and went into the streets, right? Guess what? I saw the same shit in both places. The only difference was in the church, they were hiding behind it because of the shame and the guilt in this pie in the sky, right? So they didn't even have an opportunity to do anything different because they couldn't even own up to their shit, because who was they going to own up to, right? At least in the streets, you can say, you know what it is, right? So you can come off the streets and say, listen, I was a hoe, not a hoe no more, and all that other stuff. But in church, you can't go in the church and say, yeah, child, I was sucking all kind of, in the bathroom last week, but God delivered me. Like, you're not going to be able to do that.
Actually, I've heard that. I've have heard that many times. Okay, so we can't say you can't say that. They actually do. But here's my thing. What I was trying to get at, all right, is that it's safe to say that we all fucking suck at life. We all fail. We're not perfect. None of us are perfect, right? And if you and I prefaced this in the beginning of the stream when I was talking with Lawrence yesterday, was that even if you don't believe in the Bible, let's say that you just don't believe in it, like Jen, you're like, this is a bunch of bullshit, it's written by man, blah blah blah.
I know, whatever. I liken it to Shakespeare. There's a lot.
Great, okay. Exactly. Just by reading it from what it is, if you just look at it as a storybook, you could take the stories in there and learn good, valuable lessons on how people should interact with each other, how people should behave, what brings good peace, what helps bring peace in scenarios or relationships or communities. I think we all could say, murder is not a good thing. We shouldn't go around murdering people, right? I think that's safe to say.
Well, I don't know. No saint seems to be about it.
No, it's not about me being about it. All I'm going to say is, listen, I could learn those things from Curious George too.
Exactly.
George.
That's
listen. The problem comes to me is that we have people that deny real problems that we have in this world today because they believe in that Bible, that they've been manipulated. They vote. And we're sitting here doing absolutely nothing because we're being used by the elites through this Bible to make this money. So that's the problem I have with it. I have no problem with thou shalt not murder. That's kind of, makes sense. But it's all the other bullshit.
Here's the thing.
God than anything.
Exactly.
Nah, I'm coming to shoot everybody. That's it.
Can I? Like I said, even if you choose not to believe in God, and I think we all just agreed, as No Saint pointed out, he can learn that from Curious George. You're right. Even if you just used it as a means of stories that reflect people's lives and the consequences and the rewards that they did for making the choices that they made. And we could look at that and be like, it's a good thing to either reflect on, like, oh, I'm doing this, and this thing ended up happening to that guy. I don't know if I want to go down this road because the story told me that it might be bad and there might be a consequence, and I might have a pause before thinking about going down that road. Right?
It just really quickly, I want to read the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Haran DeMarco. He cleared up his last comment. He said, pardon my last comment. I meant to say every relationship is transactional. Human beings naturally respond well to reciprocity if they exert maximum effort. I want to respond to what you're saying, Glenn. And I hate when people say, well, nobody's perfect, because who the fuck, first of all, made the rule for perfection? What is the perfect human, right? I think that it's a scapegoat. Well, nobody's perfect. We should strike that from our vocabulary, because what is a perfect human? No person working on earth, no person walking on earth can live up to a perfection. Nobody's perfection. Yep. To constantly keep using that because we fuck up, I think fuck up is our natural state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Human beings.
Absolutely.
So to keep saying, well, nobody's perfect, our natural state is imperfection.
So
the
then
problem I have with the Bible is this. There's a problem I have with the Bible. Great fucking stories. That shit is Shakespeare like a motherfucker. It's like Othello. If you read the 12th Night and Othello, you're like, this fits right into the fucking Bible. The jealousy, the this and that. The problem with the fucking Bible is that men turned it into a religion of things that they have to live up to, and men are not built, equipped biologically, socially, emotionally to live up to fucking Bible rules. That's why religion is so fucking corrupt. That's why people always pointed the finger at it. But you're supposed to follow Jesus, and Jesus said, meanwhile, you fucking cheating. That's the flaw in the Bible. Now, if they put the Bible out like a self-help book, then I'm with it. If they put it out like serious storage,
can I ask a question real quick on this?
I'm great. I'm great with the Bible. But once you turned it into religion, like you got to follow the Bible, all of you look stupid because none of you follow.
Okay, here's my question.
None of you, not even on this panel.
Yeah, you're right. I can admit that.
Not even on this panel.
Absolutely, 100%. Here's my thing. Here's my question.
I guarantee you fornicate.
Listen.
Do you fornicate?
You cannot listen. You wouldn't know fornicating unless it was in the Bible.
Do you fornicate?
Actually, you wouldn't know fornicating. Now listen. Let me say something. Let me say.
What?
You wouldn't know fornication if it wasn't in the Bible.
Okay, well, now we know it. Do you fornicate?
No, you couldn't use fornication if it wasn't in the Bible. But let's eliminate that. Let's eliminate that. Let's eliminate that. Let's eliminate it. No.
I've never heard. What?
Listen, when it comes down to it, okay, we'll scrap the Bible. Scrap it. No. We're scrapping it. You know what, Glenn? We turned our callers in. We turning our minister license in. We're scrapping it. It's the host. What would Jen and the other panelists suggest we do now?
The same thing that I'm doing. I'm a motherfucking atheist. I don't need the Bible to keep me.
I'm not talking about atheists. What would you do?
I'm doing the same thing I'm doing. Not having
what principles are you living by?
Married, not having children out of wet. Same thing I'm doing.
Well, what's wedlock? Where did you get the wedlock out of the situation from? Where did you get that?
Whatever it is, I'm using Yah words. You religious people use these words.
I'm not using religion.
I do not. I know it's not good to have a child if you don't plan for it. I know it's not good to have sex without protection because you can get diseases. I know it's not good to lie because the consequences will fall on me. I know it's not good to cheat or steal money or kill people because I go to prison. I don't need a Jesus for that. I don't need a God for that. So that's what you telling me.
Oh, what?
Determination.
What I do, I'm gonna tell you what I do. I do what works for me and I don't promote it because it may not work for you.
Okay, I wanted to make a point. You said do it because you said the standards are nobody can live up to the standards of the Bible, right?
No,
nobody can live up. You're right. Yes, you're right. You're right. Absolutely, we are flawed. We can't do that. No man is going to live up to those standards. We're all flawed. We get that's absolute 100%. Should we do away with all standards? Should we just do it? But should we do away with all standards though too? Then, as you said, we're all fuck ups. Should we just do away with no standards?
But Glenn, why is it?
No, I'm just asking. We're flawed because we can't live up to that standard, right?
Right, but why say that we're flawed? This is just how we are. Why is how
we're flawed?
Why is how we are a flaw?
When you're trying to strive to reach this, if this is supposed to be setting the standard, like this is the standard, right? Everybody has to live to this, right? Okay, so that again, it's a standard by whoever chooses. Exactly, that's what I'm saying, Jen. That's what I'm trying to get at. If we get rid of a standard, if say this is a standard, people put right the people that believe this, they put this as their standard, okay? Because not everybody believes it. So if you put this as a standard, and they're saying, well, you just get rid of it because nobody can live up to it. Okay, so then that principle being said, since people can't live up to it, should we just get rid of it entirely? All standards that people can't live up to.
To answer your question, no, because then Lawrence couldn't be a good person. So I agree that religion is necessary for a lot of people. Because you see the question he asked, if I get rid of it, what are we gonna do? There are a lot of
what are you gonna do?
There are a lot. I'm already doing it. I'm not religious. I'm living it.
Jen. So you have no dog in the fight because the conversation from yesterday was in the context doesn't apply to you.
But
exactly. That's what we were.
That's the point.
No, that's not
the fight.
No, that's not the point. You're not a woman. You talk about things that relate to women.
No. You have no dog in the fight because you don't subscribe. Listen. You don't ascribe to that.
You don't have a dog in the fight either because you're religious and you fornicate and you lie.
Listen, you have no dog in the fight. You're bringing up that's deflection. You have no dog in the fight in the context because you're talking about whether I fornicate or not. That's deflection versus dealing with the issue.
Because
you didn't answer. You're deflecting.
No, you're deflecting.
The concept yesterday. You have no dog in the fight.
Your religion. You said in the clip. He that findeth a good wife findeth a good thing.
Does it apply to you? Does it apply to you?
That's the conversation.
Does it apply to you?
Do you fornicate?
Ask you a question. You can't ask a question with a question.
No, it
doesn't apply to you, so you have no dog in the fight.
It applies to you. Teach us, religious person.
Excuse me. It doesn't. I love this. It doesn't apply. So you know what?
But does it apply to you?
Right.
I wouldn't have quoted it if it didn't apply to me.
Do you fornicate?
I was talking to Glenn, and he made a quote. He made a quote, and I said, the Bible, and I said, it made me think of Proverbs. In the Bible, it says this. Now, when we were talking, who were we talking about demographically? People who believe that. Right?
Do you believe that?
No, people who believe that. Okay. So if you don't have a dog in the fight, then
but we're saying, do you believe that?
But that's scripture.
Yes.
That's
you just believe that's scripture or some scripture?
That particular scripture in that context. Yes, I believe that right there. Yes, okay. I wouldn't have quoted it.
Gotcha. So you believe some things in the Bible?
Do I believe some things?
Yeah, just some things.
Some things
selectively.
No, I don't have selective pick and choose like it's a buffet.
So then why do you fornicate?
So why are you worrying about if I fornicate? That's a deflection.
It's not a deflection.
It's definitely not. That challenges your beliefs. It definitely doesn't deflect.
Answer that question, yes or no.
That does not work.
Oh no!
I got a question though. Can I ask the question?
Laws of religion don't work, but
why would I answer that question to an atheist?
But you
why would I answer that question to an atheist?
You see fit. Ladies and gentlemen,
no. Why would I answer that question to an atheist?
When he said, "He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing," he said that with his chest.
Right.
But he did not say in his chest that he fornicates, and that's against the Bible.
But you're bringing up something. You're bringing apples and oranges.
Oranges. It's the same book, though.
Can I chime in? Can I chime in, please? All right.
religion doesn't work. Thank you for proving
here we go. Let me explain. Again, what we were saying,
right? Not for me. I don't need it.
Correct.
What in the context that the conversation was in? Okay, we were talking about a specific demographic. To anybody that does not hold those views, we're not talking about them.
I know, but what we were saying is, do you fall into that demographic?
Yes,
because
and do I fall short?
If you're saying it and you fall into the demographic, right? Are you picking and choosing what parts of the book that you want to say?
No, I don't. And do I live to the letter of the everything? Absolutely not. I fall short. I know that. I admit that. I never try to pretend that I'm holier than thou or that I'm better than anybody. I always say that. Like I fall short.
I'm gonna tell you something though. I'm gonna be real with you. I think what my biggest issue is when people use religion to try to prove their point. I think I will respect it better if they would use it to prove a point about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I agree. And I think people need to do that more. Absolutely. And when I was reflecting on the issues, because I'm looking at it from a bird's eye view on a specific issue within the structure, right? And I'm saying, wow, this group of people should not be having this. If this is supposed to be God's inerrant, flawless word, right? Then if they're supposed to be living it according to the T and not falling short in doing that, then they should be the ones that have the most perfect marriages, right? And the most perfect according to what they say they believe, right? In theory. So why I'm looking at it as why do they seem to be just like everybody else, right? And then you look further and you're like, oh, well, they're not upholding this anymore in the Bible. They're not practicing these things in the Bible anymore. They're doing away with things because it's convenient for them. If I'm making a cake and I remove a whole bunch of ingredients, right? And the cake, I try to put it together and the cake comes out like trash. You're going to be like, well, because you removed the ingredients, you need eggs in there. You don't have eggs in there. So from that point of view, you can look at it as like, I wonder if they put these things back in place and if they actually upheld this structure, if they would actually have a different result. That was the premise of the entire conversation. Now, what we're here talking about.
Okay, so do you think that we should uphold all of it, including the fornication? Or are we gonna leave that out too?
What I'm saying is like
supposed to submit, Lily.
Okay, all right.
Okay, again.
This is the thing with these men in these YouTube streets, right? When it comes to parts in the Bible that describe women submitting, they with their chest out. Okay, the whole chest. They can quote everything in the Bible that says women's supposed to submit and supposed to be what they say with their chest. And then when you ask them, wait a minute, let's go into it further. Do you fornicate? You're deflecting. What does that mean? You don't have a dog in the fight.
You're deflecting. It has nothing to do with the conversation.
Wait a minute. I don't want it.
It's deflecting. It's deflecting. Now, did I answer your question?
So you don't talk over me so we could hear each other, because you was quiet this whole time. You was quiet and then I started talking and you got to talking. I'll give you a chance. You know I can be quiet when you're talking. My point is, Glenn, I know you keep going back to the clip. We're past the clip now.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if we're gonna
listen, we're 2 hours and a half in. We're way past.
Yes, but the whole point of the structure.
Conversations, and you know when we have conversations, the conversations go every which way. So now we are on religion. So my point is,
we're focused.
Finish, Glenn, because no one's gonna be able to hear us. I couldn't even replay this with us talking over each other. My point is that if you're going to insert religion to prove a point, I agree with Lily 100%. If you're going to use religion to prove a point, you should only talk about yourself. Do not use religion for what other people should be doing, because the retort is going to be, what the fuck are you following in the Bible, sir?
Absolutely.
You're right. That's the natural retort. What the fuck? Okay, women are supposed to be X, Y, and Z because the Bible says X, Y, and Z. But then my retort is, okay, man, you're not supposed to be fornicating. No, you don't have a dog in the fight. You're deflecting. That's what preachers do. Don't look at what I am buying with this money. The preacher needs the jet and the Cadillac. How dare you question what God wants for me? That's what the fuck we having here right now. How dare Don't you go looking in the pockets. That is a sin to look in the pockets of the preacher. You listen. That's what we're having here. That is what he's attempting to do. Don't look at me.
I'm not doing that. Let me.
You didn't give me the explanation. You didn't give me the time.
Let me explain.
Does not work. Every religious person I know does the same.
Here, can I say something?
Every single one.
Let me say something. If I am a bodybuilder, because I was, and let's say I don't practice my diet flawlessly. I have cheat days. I have cookies and stuff, but I still practice. I'm still striving to cut those cravings down. I'm still in the process of cutting out the things I should not do, all right, according to what my goal is, right? According to how I want to live, right? According to my diet plan. But in the process, if I'm failing at doing it, but I'm still pursuing the process, right? Do I get to say that, like, you know, I can't say like, oh, I'm not good, I failed. No, it's still a work in process. What I'm trying to say is yes, I don't meet the Bible completely. I know I fail. I know that according to the Bible, I suck at a lot of things in life. Like, I am no one near that should be preaching to anybody, and I don't. But I'm saying is, like, in the pursuit of wanting to live a better life according to this worldview that these individuals hold, if they would implement it, and I'm only speaking to the people with the worldview that share this worldview. I'm not implementing it on anybody else. I'm not saying if Jen lived it this way, she would have a good life. That's not for me to say. I'm saying for this specific group that we're talking about that shares this ideal belief, if they implemented it accordingly to the way that is written to be done, maybe they would have a different outcome. That's a theory. That's not pushing my belief on anybody else. That's not pushing my thoughts on marriage or thoughts on, you know, religion or sex or anything or sexual orientation onto anybody else. I'm talking to the people that hold this one belief system.
Okay, but this is my thing. Wouldn't the message be more effective if you use you as an example? Because that's not a theory. That's firsthand experience. For instance, because like for all of my posts, right? I don't ever come across, you should do this, you should do that. I'll share, I've done this shit didn't work. I did this worked. Period, point blank, hard stop. You can judge me, you can do whatever you want, but that's me humanizing myself and allowing you to either identify or not, right? Because this whole you and the Bible says thing, it hasn't been working, you know, but people resonate more when you use you, and they can pick, then they can pick and choose. They can be able to say, I don't relate to nothing he's saying, bye. Or like, there's something in there. I might want to adopt that. I feel like that message is a lot more effective than the whole you should do this, because the first thing they're going to do is pick apart what your ass not doing.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the approach though. Can I explain the?
Hold on.
Okay.
You know what? I completely agree with you. I never, if you look at the clip, never came like that. So please understand the context. If you look into the whole context of it, I put both my hands up. I don't get it all together. I never said that. I said it remind me of this. So we're dissecting what I said, but not realizing that I'm in the conversation too, as an imperfect vessel. So for me to say, oh, no, you need to do that. I never come like that. You know why? Because at the end of the day, I got to sleep and look at myself in the mirror and say, what I say, did I really live? That's what it comes down for me. I can't speak for all the religious people, all the pastors, prophets, teachers, and what people did in the past and cheat. I have to be accountable to me on what I said and if I'm living what I talked about. That's the difference. So to ask me whether I fornicate or not, that's irrelevant to the conversation, because we're talking about particularly that particular verse in scripture. So I understand your point, but that wasn't the promise. That's not where I'm coming from. I was coming from the point to say, you know what? That reminds me of this. Do every woman need to do that? No. Do every man? No. But in the context of what we were talking about, it's applicable.
Okay, so I want to say to respond to Glenn about the bodybuilding analogy. I thought it was great, but here's the thing. If you were in the gym, you're bodybuilding, and a bodybuilder who does everything by the book, looks at you, he has every right to say this motherfucker's he's a fucking scrub. He ain't nobody.
Absolutely.
That's just natural.
Yes.
As far as what Lawrence saying, yeah, as far as what Lawrence was saying, the reason why I question it is because it's a beautiful thing to say, hey, I'm imperfect. I'm an imperfect vessel. Then keep it that way. But when you pick and choose, that's my thing. When you pick and choose, like, I'm an imperfect vessel, and then you think that gives you the right to point the finger at somebody else, like Bob Marley said, your fucking finger's dirty. You have no fucking right to say what a woman should be doing according to the Bible. Matter of fact, not even women. You have no right to say what any human being should be doing according to the Bible, because you're not doing it. So asking, do you fornicate, was so I can prove a point that you don't even follow the Bible, that you're wielding against someone else. And I know
I was wielding. I never wielded.
Let me finish, because
I didn't wield it. You putting words in my mouth.
I didn't. Well, you know what? When I finish talking, then you can say I put words in your mouth.
Put words. I didn't wield it. I presented a scripture.
That's what we do here. I'll mute your mic. That's how we're gonna do it. When I'm finished talking, if you don't like what I said, you can say you were putting words in my mouth. That's how it works. You talking over me and me yelling over you ain't doing shit for nobody, because can't nobody hear you in the chat. Can't nobody hear you watching. When I'm done, you could say, that's not what I said. It's so simple. My point was, people say they're not wielding the Bible, but that's exactly what they're doing when they say a woman has to do X, Y, and Z, a man has to do X, Y, and Z. I think if people follow this protocol that the Bible said about marriage, then marriages will last longer, because the Bible said X, Y, and Z. No matter how nice you put it or how vitriolic you are, either ways you are wielding the Bible. The Bible said, God wants, even if you said it in a sweet way. Well, you know, people would get along better if they just followed that Bible. Do you follow that Bible, ma'am? Do you follow that Bible, sir? No, the fuck you don't. You getting your fuck on, you're getting your lie on, and you're getting your cheat on. Do not wield the Bible to other people when you yourself, I'm a flawed vessel. Then shut the fuck up about your Bible and your God. You get your shit together. Get your shit together. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't fornicate. Then come out and say, you know what? I think if couples followed the Bible, it would be better for X, Y, and Z, because human nature, okay, is going to result in them looking at you like, what the fuck do you do with your life? Do you fornicate? Do you cheat? Do you lie? How many women have you had sex with that you didn't love? Do you have a child out of wedlock? All that shit's going to come out. That's human nature. People are going to look at you and be like, but what are you doing? Why are you telling me what we should fucking be doing? That was my point. That is wielding the Bible. Don't even bring the Bible into fucking gender wars when you don't follow the Bible yourself. That was my point. You can respond now, Glenn. I'm sorry, Lawrence. I'm like Glenn, Lawrence, Glenn.
So
I hear you.
So it wasn't wielding the Bible. And we were having a conversation that didn't apply to that demographic. So you can't tell me what to do when I talk to that particular demographic. That's your opinion. Now, whether I live it or not, that's still my opinion. So I can bring that in because I'm talking to this particular group of people. So you can have an opposing opinion, which is good. I'm all for it. But what I said was, it reminded me, I'm going to repeat that, of the scripture. And I misquoted it on purpose. I didn't even quote it correctly. And so it was not willing. It was saying, you know what? These women are acting masculine, but wanting to be what? Married. So I understand your point. But for you, I understand that you even have a disdain even for the Bible, which I'm okay with it. But you can't tell them I'm willing. And I wasn't talking to you per se. I was talking to a group of people, particularly, first of all, men, about this particular issue that's happening in the church. In the whole scheme of the whole stream, you will see that we both admitted that we do not have it together. We even talked afterwards and talked about our own things that we had going on. So no one's ever, from a 3-second clip, said it was perfect. But you cannot dismiss my ability or my right to use the Bible when I want to.
And I want
You're a victim.
Here we go, CSI.
Let me respond real quick to Lawrence. Okay, the first thing is, see, you put words in my mouth, but I waited for you to finish. I don't have a disdain for the Bible. There's not 1 second on this panel in the last almost 3 hours where I said I had a disdain for the Bible. I have a disdain for people who claim, okay, they subscribe to the Bible and do anything but. That's what I said. I also said I'm a fan of the Bible. It's very Shakespearean. It's like Othello. It's like Twelfth Night. I never said I had a disdain for the Bible. Second thing is, of course, you can say whatever you want, use the Bible however you see fit. And I have my opinion and you have yours. I'm not attacking you directly. If you notice, I'm talking about religious people in general. And I know during that clip and in that stream, you wasn't talking to me directly, but I did put your feet to the fire. So to make a point that religious people don't follow what they preach. So you can quote the Bible all day and night if you like, but I'm always going to point out to the religious, you don't even follow that. That was my point. But I don't have a disdain for the Bible. I think it's great stories in there. I just I don't worship Shakespeare. I'm not going to worship a couple dudes that got together and threw some books in a fucking machine. I'm not going to do it. I'm not built that way. No gods, no masters for me.
Can I use that analogy about the gym again? And you used the good point. Now, let's say I'm trying to be this bodybuilder, right? But this bodybuilder that is living it, for real, like to the T, he corrects me, right? Let's say, you know what? I see a bodybuilder that's beneath me in level, right? And he's doing something wrong, right? But he's claiming to be this. Now, just as the bodybuilder above me corrected me, I'm going to look to him and try to help him out. Like, hey, man, if you were doing it this way, okay, because this is the world that you want to live in. This is the belief that you have. If you do it this way, you will get better. You get further. You'll get closer to your goal, right? Would you consider that appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the premise of when I was talking. That's what I was talking to. Now, I understand what you were saying, because what you were saying is people, and I agree, people should not push their worldviews or their belief systems upon people that do not hold them, okay? Because it doesn't mean shit to them. What you believe, Jen, doesn't necessarily mean anything to what, Ish may believe. Right. So you pushing that your view on him is irrelevant to him, because he's like, you know what? It doesn't, I don't fit in this box. That's not my lane. I get it. That doesn't affect me either way. But for the people that maybe share that worldview, upholding each other and telling, hey, we're falling short here, or you know what, we shouldn't be doing this, because if we say we believe this and we're not doing it, then we need to practice what we preach, because we have to be accountable to what we say we do or what we believe, right? If we're supposed to be men or women of our word, then the people that share that view should be able to hold us accountable to what we say we're going to do, because then nobody's accountable. Then there's nothing anybody could hold anybody to, right? If we're not keeping the people that say that they believe in what we believe accountable, right? Then something fails. So when you're talking to a specific group, I agree with you. Even if I'm falling short, I could be messing up, or I'm not be doing it to a T, but you know what? I may be a little bit ahead of this guy that's fallen way more short than me, and I don't want to see him fail. So I could probably help pull him up by giving him some, encouragement, or give him some wisdom. But like, hey man, you know what? If you're trying to build mass and you do a 5x5 instead of, a high rep and low weight, exercise, you will gain more muscle that way. I gave him insight. I'm not chastising him. I'm not telling him you're an idiot because you suck and you're going to the gym hell because you're not doing the exercise right. There's a difference to approach and how one's supposed to approach things with people that share the same belief system. Now, you can't just push someone else's belief system, or you can't push your belief system on people that's outside of that belief system. I don't agree with that.
So I agree with you on. So I agree with you, but unfortunately, religion, the way it's set up and the way it's written, it's very judgy, right? It's not just, hey, you need to work on your arms more, your calves are lacking. It's not that. It's you're going into the lake of fire, your body will be in limbo, your spirit, you were born in sin, God.
That's just for the people that believe that, right?
It's just horrible the way religious people use religion on other people. Really quickly, I want to read the super chat.
And I gotta run, you all.
Lily, we're gonna close soon anyway. This has been amazing. Don Levon says, here is a Bible verse for you, Matthew 7. Do not judge, or you too will be judged.
Yep, and the follow-up with that would be John 3:17, where it says, the Son of Man did not come here to judge the world, but to save the world. And I always tell people, if Jesus didn't come here to judge the world, then who the fuck are you to judge other people? If the person that was perfect and flawless and had no sin did not come down here to judge other people, who are you, according to people that believe in that belief system, born in sin, have the right to judge people that were born in sin?
That book is all over the place, isn't it? That book is all over the place. Yes, no, high, low, sin, not sin, fuck, don't fuck. That book is like,
it needs loopholes, Jen. It needs loopholes. Just like our laws, they need loopholes for them, because the pastor gotta have his loopholes too.
I want to add.
King James had syphilis on the brain. He wasn't thinking straight when he wrote it.
King James didn't write it.
He translated it.
No,
he didn't even translate
Don't ruin the joke.
Right, he hired somebody. I got it.
They just stamped his name on it to make him feel good.
Yeah. So listen, there's a couple of things, and since we're
but really quickly, I know No Saint wants to say something really quickly. Okay. Someone said in the chat, I was blaming God. I don't believe in God, you dumb fuck. How can I blame something I don't believe in? Like, y'all just saying anything now. You were saying, No Saint.
First of all, I realized I'm glad we got one of the white guys out, because Ish, I was kind of remembering Ish was, I think Ish was laying low. He thought maybe he worked with me or something. I don't know. But what I want to say, since we're reading scriptures, I got a scripture I'd like to read too. But is I believe you, Glenn, when you say you're not there to force anything to non-believers. The problem is the whole reason we even got over here, the whole reason we brought that the African Americans got over here is because people were pushing the Bible on other people and colonizing people and using the Bible to conquer people. And today, over in the Middle East and in some of those countries, they're still doing it with the Quran. I mean, it's not like it's just because right now we're kind of stable. And wait. And there are people in this country right now trying to force stuff on us using the Bible.
What does that have to do with me? If I'm not doing it,
it doesn't. But
exactly.
I'm saying
the problem is
it
has nothing to do with me. That's them. I can't answer for them.
Okay, I get it, but I'm saying, look how people are using the Bible. So here's my real quick. Here's my scripture. I'm going to prove, and this is just one scripture, that God's the biggest serial killer ever in this world. Okay. So here you go. 2 Kings 2, 23, 24. And he went up for thence unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city and mocked him. So we're talking about, I think, Elisha. So, kids mocking. So what would you do to your kid if you're mocking? You say, hey, kid, come here, son. You got to respect your... No, that's not what this guy did. Elisha said, and so unto him, go up. The kids said to him, and so said unto them, go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head, mocking the Elisha. And he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord. Mm-hmm. And there came 2 she-bears out of the woods and tear 42 children of them, killed them, murdered them with she-bears for making fun of Elisha with the bald head. Something that anybody who's not a believer, Jen, myself, we would say, we don't, we're not, we wouldn't say, hey, let's get a couple of she-bears and tear into these kids. No, we would say, hey, that's disrespectful. You're punished or spank or whatever you would do. But that's just one. We're not even talking about the firstborn in Egypt of not just children, not just men, but animals. Mm-hmm. God wiped out the firstborn of everything in Egypt. And we can go on. But God is the biggest serial killer. And believe it or not, Satan's never murdered one person, and he's never lied.
Let me say something, because if you're going to read it, let's preface it in what exactly was going on at that time according to what you read. And if we're just going to read a scripture and try to point out a point that it does look bad, but if you actually read the entire story, you would understand why this actually took place. Not saying it's good or bad either way, but you're not giving the context of the
killed 42 children. He's a serial killer.
But you're not. you're not pointing out the context of what was taking place prior to the story. It's just like when somebody just grabs their cell phone and gets some like clip of somebody acting all crazy, but you only see me hitting Lawrence, but you don't see Lawrence attacking me first, and then all you see is Lawrence falling to the ground because he got knocked out by me.
I got
and then
that,
I
but
get
we're talking
told I'm
about
a white
children.
guy, I'm a white racist because I hit somebody, but that's exactly what you're doing. You're
No,
only showing
that's
the
children.
clip.
We're talking about 40-year-old children.
But I'm saying you're only talking about one. You're highlighting a clip that you're reading, but you're not reading everything that took place prior to that, and then you're not explaining what took place after that. And so, yeah, when we look at something under a microscope and we take a moment in time and look at it, we could see how something had looked so horrible. But not saying that it's not horrible, but you're not understanding the context, why it was done, and what was the meaning of it being done, and whether or not if it was considered a parable or what the translation actually meant to the people then. It's a lot more than what you're just trying to say.
Lord, please hit that like for me. There's so many people lurking. Like, can you support the program? I got the grown and sexy up here having a serious debate. Hit the like for me.
No, real quick, Glenn, I'll let you explain that, but I want to reply to Coco. Yeah, it matters if they're adult or child, because children are immature and children are going to tease people. That's what children do. They'll see and you correct them. I agree, you correct them, and they shouldn't be disrespectful. But and Glenn, I hear you, man. But 40-year-old children, I don't know how you're gonna justify killing 40 children with two she bears.
I'm not justifying anything.
Right, but do we have to know
like,
what happened before or after 40 children were killed?
Yes, I think we do that even in our laws. We when people murder somebody, we actually find out why they murdered them.
Right,
Were they murdered them for self-defense?
I understand that. I understand seeing the clip of you hitting a black guy and people like Glenn's race. I understand that. But I think Lawrence said earlier, apples and oranges. This is apple and oranges. What justification would there be ever, even if you had footage before or after, for 40 children to get killed because they were acting like children?
And then humiliate them by making it she bears. They didn't even take the male bear. It was she bears.
Like what would the justification be that before or after to kill 40 children? That's what I'm talking about, the Bible, that no matter how horrific those stories are, there's always someone said, but it was an interpretation and it's not what it meant today. And it went like people pick and choose what things
out of
mean.
context.
I don't pick and choose anything.
It's a fucking mess.
I don't pick and choose anything
from it that are convenient.
And I don't do that either. I look at it in its entirety. Okay. And I tried, for me, like I said, I have a degree in this. So I studied this. I wanted to understand why people have been killing each other over the name of God for the longest time. Why are Muslims killing Muslims for their belief in God and to their degree? Why the Shiites are killing the Sunnis? Why are the Christians killing the Jews? Why are the Catholics killing why? That was my entire wanting to know why if so many people have killed, how many people have died in the name or for the sake of a God, and understand why they're doing it for somebody that's this deity, right? That's what I went to understand. That's why I studied this, because that's been the biggest killer this whole world has faced. Has not been a terrorist from the Middle East. It's been people killing in the name of their God. And I wanted to understand.
Hasn't God, according to the Bible, been the biggest killer? Not people killing in the name of God, but God himself.
And actually, they're killing in the name of God too. Those Muslims, they're killing in the name of God as well. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, to understand why people would do that, right? When both religions say that they're a peaceful religion. And then when both religions say that they want to help improve people's lives, like, why do people then act in this manner if they're saying that they're trying to save people? How are you saving people if you're killing people? That was the entire reason why I went to study this stuff, because I found it so fascinating that it hasn't been anything else that has wiped out the population more than people doing this for a God, and Don Laron's right. Submissive women in the Bible can be taken out of context too. Yes, it is, because it's not the way that they describe submission in the Bible is not the way that we portray it today. And that's the thing. We
said it yesterday.
The one thing that I learned when I was in Bible college, right, when I studied this stuff, is that in order to accurately understand this text, because it's been translated in so many different ways, and there's verbs and words in there that in the Bible that, that no Satan is looking at right now, that is actually not in the original Hebrew or the Greek. So, but because we don't have words in our language that actually transfer to that, we have put words as close as they can to, compared to what that meant. So even the Bible now is not, unless you understand Hebrew and you can read Greek, you are not understanding the full context of the Bible in its entirety.
How can you take something serious that's been remixed a billion times by men who had agendas? Like, why do we keep acting like these men didn't have agendas, political aspirations and gender aspirations? Like, why do we keep acting like that's not the case? Imagine getting 10 men of today to write a fucking Bible for the next 1,000 years. It'd be a fucking mess.
The one thing that what I can say to you is that you're talking about your personal view and your belief, and that's fine.
Not my personal
it is yours because you're saying
not my personal view. You sitting here talking about interpretations and feelings. That's your personal view as well.
No, I'm saying if you're going to read something, if you're going to read something, what I'm saying
meant by those words.
What I'm saying, if you understand what was written, you have to first understand who it was written to. You have to understand that it was written to the first century Jew. That was where the Bible came from, right? So the first century Jew, why was it written to them in the way that it was written to? It was written to them in this way because that was the way that they could understand. So in order for us to understand what they understood, we have to understand what things meant then to them in order to apply it to us today. If we don't know the context,
which is asinine because we're not first century Jews, which is
exactly. But to understand what it meant, what it meant to them, and to take that principle of what it meant to them to get it correct, right? You have to understand what it meant to them. Even if the Quran, I'm sure Ish could even confirm to this too. In order to understand the Quran, you have to understand what it meant to them in the way that it was written, because things could be taken out of context, and because it doesn't relate to us today in that same way that it related to them.
So do you believe that God is not the author of confusion?
No, I don't believe that God.
That's what it says. Wait, your Bible says that, right?
I don't understand. What verse are you talking about in the context of it?
I have to look up the verse. That's a verse in there.
Okay, because if you're just the way you just posed it, because the Bible says, from what I recall, is that God is not a God of confusion; He's a God of order. So if there says that God is a God of confusion, well then I'm no.
What I'm saying is this all-powerful God. It shouldn't be up to translations to get his message across, but then it's not even a good translation because there's so many different people believe so many different things. So God is the author of confusion.
Well, that's people make the choice to make things confusing.
No,
let me.
What you believe is different from what somebody else believes. So you have the only truth? Is that what you're saying? You're the only one with the truth.
I could say could be misquoting things too. I could say that too. The interpretation that I got from the studying.
You see the mess that religion is. You see,
but that's with anything. That's with anything. You're using the Bible, but you can take.
You shouldn't worship it because
but at the same time, we shouldn't obey the laws. Have anybody read the laws that we have? The laws are harder to understand than the Bible at times.
Wait a minute. I agree with you. Thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. Don Levon says, Bible, submit yourself to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. So why are these men asking women they are dating, are you submissive? Also, there is a quote, and then we could pass the mic to Brother Ish. He's super fucking late. We're about to close, but we'll see what he has to say. Isaiah 45:7. Someone sent this to me earlier. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create
I make war. Yeah.
I, the Lord, do all these things. Sound like a fucking narcissistic ball of confusion motherfucker to me. But, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. Someone who says that he creates peace and evil, the light and the dark. He creates all the bullshit people are dealing with. But what do I know, right?
And that's why I'm telling you, the devil has done nothing. It's all God. God doesn't allow anybody to get killed. He just now said he creates the goodness, and what you just read, I'm not going to misquote it. So he does everything. The devil does nothing.
It sounds like a weekend. It sounds like a weekend at my grandmother's house. So every time I run in and out, that's what it sounds like.
It also sounds like No Saint is being the devil's advocate.
Well, so
but I understand. At least I understand. The more I've watched you, I understand more than ever. You say you don't believe in the spookism, so it's totally a movement for you. It's totally like getting your people together, and this is a means by which, because you don't believe in all the spookism.
Well,
Am I
that's
right?
the basis of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that there is no mystery God, that they've traveled the entire earth and they've never found this ghost-like ethereal being that has governed all of mankind, and that we believe that God is a manifestation through human beings, and that's how we know of God. And if you read any of these scriptures, many of these books have come from men. And
Lawrence,
some of these men have been. Excuse me?
Lawrence, you gonna let him say that about your Bible?
I'm listening to him.
See, there you go.
Okay.
Because you know why?
I mean, we only know of. Say it again.
My father was part of the Nation of Islam when Malcolm X was part of when Malcolm X was there. So I'm listening.
Okay.
It's nothing I understand.
So this is a manifestation of men who stood up for moral purpose and taught to others what they felt was and what they believed or inspired to share with other human beings in relationship to a better and righter way, divinely guided. So when we say what is divinely guided, what is consciousness? Science denotes consciousness. It has some sort of living aspect within your mind. So if we are now hearing an alternative voice to the voices in your head, now either you're having a multiple personality scenario, or there is some sort of divine or unexplained consciousness that connects all of humanity. That in the historical context of these books that you read about and these individuals historically that we read about is the standard that we're working from. Now, has it been corrupted? Has it been tainted? Has it been manipulated for the purposes of kingdoms, governments, organizations? Absolutely, because if you look at those who are driven by greed and money, they say, how can we best move the masses? Well, we best move the masses by giving them, by manipulating and controlling that which they submit to. They submit to a belief in a higher, they submit to an infrastructure of right and wrong. They submit, so anyone who is wicked in their heart or in their mind and wants to manipulate the masses, it's just like what Columbus did to the Taino. He said, he came there and he said, my God is stronger than your God. How do you know? Then they're like, man, we don't believe what you're saying. He says, well, there's going to be an eclipse if you don't give me your gold and your food supplies so that I can get back to Europe. And because he understood science, he manipulated their concept of God. When that eclipse happened, because he studied the stars, they submit to him now because they believe that truth. The issue is where a lot of times we fail as followers or believers of a faith or a faith practices that we're not well studied. We don't have a great comprehensive understanding of the word.
Getting long-winded on me, respectfully. Let me ask you a question. So you don't think that the men, because it was men, right? So you don't think that men that put the Bible together, and I'm talking about the Quran, the Bible, and the interpretations, the first one, the second one, the third one, the one that the Bishop Larry Wogg is doing now, all those, right, from the very beginning, the very, very, very first one. What you're saying is that those men were angels on earth, And everything they wrote in there was for the good of mankind. And they had no political agendas. They had no gender agendas. Everything was beautiful. And they put this book out for the betterment of humanity. And then men just came along and corrupted the whole book. That's what you're saying? That the people that first put it out had no agendas. They didn't want to be in power. They didn't want to scare nobody. They didn't have political agendas. They didn't have gender agendas. They weren't misogynist. They weren't patriarchal. None of that. This was a beautiful book. So people could fill the earth and subdue it. And men and women could be happy and move forward. Is that what you're saying? And then some humans came along 100 years later and corrupted this good book. Is that what you're saying? I just want to know what you're saying.
I mean, let me try to answer the
question.
No,
I'm not saying that they're angels. And if you look at the history of these circumstances, they were in societies that were fallen and that were in a state of confusion. And within that state of confusion, there were individuals who stood up and said, you know what, this isn't right. Just like what you're saying, Jen, in a certain aspect, there's something wrong here. And I believe, based upon what internally is guiding me, that there's a better way of doing things. And so these are the terms, these are the guidelines. This is how I'm living. This is how you should live, as a suggestion. And then people looked and said, okay, we'll attempt that. They found success in it.
Okay,
then that became a
before
group.
you run off, don't run off
became
too far.
Followers.
Don't run off too far. That doesn't answer my question. There are 6 of us on the panel right now. If we were appointed to write laws for humanity, because we don't like how humanity is going. Some of us don't like what women do. Some of us don't like what men do. If us 6 were appointed, one of us, 2 of us, or all of us is going to have an agenda, right? According to our experiences, according to how we just view life, okay? I'm going to write some shit. Lawrence is going to write some shit. Glenn's going to write some shit. You're going to write some shit. My question is, and all of us are not necessarily going to be excellent people, right? We're just going to be like, I experienced some shit. I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm going to put this in Gen 3, verse 5, that men and women should X, Y, and Z. That is how the Bible came about. So I'm asking you, okay, all those men that wrote the Bible, interpreted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you don't think any of them had political agendas? You don't think any of them were corrupt in heart, mind, and soul? You don't think any of them were bastards and was like, you know what? I don't like kids, so I'm a fucking X, Y, and Z. Well, I don't like women, so I'm a fucking X, Y, and Z. So you don't think any man ever did that? Is the good book is the good book, and men just came in and corrupted it? Can you answer that question?
Yes, that's the question actually I wanted to answer from the beginning. Okay. Now, if that was the case, if that the scenario that you just depicted was the case, then the Bible would not be conclusive, and they would be flawed, and it would not match up, right? There would be, this section's doing this over here, but then now it says not to do that because you're supposed to be doing this, but then over here it says, then none of it would be connected, right? It would not be continuously the same, message, right? There would be errors. There would be contradictions throughout the whole thing. That's what you're pointing out. There would be Gen 3, verse 3 says this, but Glenn 2, 6, 7 says this. They don't match up. You're right. That's true. But that's not what the Bible is, though. That's the problem. No, it doesn't contradict itself. It does not. From the beginning.
It is the book of contradictions.
No, it does. Well, let me finish.
Let me stop you there.
Let me explain what I'm trying to say.
Let me stop you there. There are over 1,200 different contradictions that exist in the Bible that you can actually find. And again, that dynamic is based upon. Hold on. Let me just address your point, because I don't want us to go past that point. And there are contradictions that exist. There are interpretations that exist. There are different versions, and there are different periods of time. So you have circumstances and situations that where the word does not line up because of the insertion of different translations or intentional corruption of the word. Now we have to, if you don't acknowledge that
by the white man,
what?
Well,
it wasn't even the white guy that wrote the thing. Okay, they were not white over there.
No,
What I'm trying to say when I
But you know, just to I mean, when we talk about King James and we talk about the Nicene Council, there's historical individuals who corrupted the word. We know that. That's a historical fact that is undeniable. So Jen has a point there. It's a little out of context in the situation. It's a little out of context and out of order, but I understand what she's attempting to express.
And
but we have to acknowledge the truth that there are contradictions in the Bible and there is corruption in it.
What I'm trying to say is that from when you look at the entirety of the Bible, right, as it is, from the beginning to the end, the story and its message is the same. It would be different if each person had a different motive, and it was, you know, this is what's going to be, this is the road to salvation, or no, I write in it that this is the road to salvation. That's what I was trying to get at, is that from the beginning to the end, it's the same story. Now, what goes on in between the different stories, you know, or different chapters, that's depicting what was going on at that time. But the overall message, the overarching theme of it is still the same. That's what I'm saying. It's not different. It doesn't have a different ending. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is like, it's not, it doesn't like connect. It all connects and it still flows, even though that there are differences in interpretation, or in the context that was written in, or in what some people will believe that it says, but the overarching theme is still the same throughout the whole thing. That's what I'm getting at, is that if it was written by different people, it would have would have 6 different endings, but all the endings still are the same, and it still aligns with one. This aligns with what this says. The principles in this aligns with the principles in that. The Old Testament refers to the New Testament refers to the Old Testament as its support of the belief or principle. That's what I'm saying. If it was different, then the New Testament would not be referring to the Old Testament as of law, you know, or of guidance or as structure. If it would be like, no, we're doing away with that, we're doing this now. Like it doesn't do that. This is what I'm trying to get at.
So let me say this. So we're trying to question the validity of whether the Bible is God sent or whether it's man written and it has flaws or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, everyone has a choice on what they're going to believe, what they're going to choose to do, whether it's the Quran or whether it's the Bible. Now, there's some things in the Quran as well as in the Bible that can be applicable to every individual to be a better person for themselves and everyone around them. We can debate all night. It's Christmas for some of us.
Not for me.
I understand it's not for you because you got your Glock right now.
Okay, it's a holiday. It's a holiday. It's a paid holiday. Okay, if you want to take it that way, it's a paid holiday.
So we can debate the validity of who wrote. We can debate the validity of it or not. But the thing of it is, going back to the clip once again, is it applicable for me and what I want to do and the people that I want to interact with? Now we can debate King James. We can talk about the meeting that came together. Next, we can talk about all of that. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, take it as is, take the historical out of it, and look at the principles there. Is it applicable for me and my life? Now, if it's not, then you can disregard it. I always say this on my channel. This channel is not for everyone. Why do I say that? Because what I say here doesn't apply to everyone. So that eliminates people who are not supposed to be there, and it brings the people who want to be there. So we can debate and go back and forth with the validity, and God killed 5,000 kids, and the Shamrock came and ate this person, and we can do all that. We can do that. But at the end of the day, does it apply to me? Can I use it to be a better person to Glenn, to Jen, to Brother Ish, to No Saint, to Brother? Can I be a better? Does it help me to do that? That's where we need to really get at, because we can spin our wheels all night, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to listen to y'all do that. Is it going to help me to be a better participant on this panel, living by those principles?
Lawrence, can I? Lawrence D. Adams.
Right, and I concur with him.
Hold on, is that your channel name, Lawrence D. Adams?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Brother Ish.
No, I concur with him on that dynamic. And if you even do a metaphor like we did earlier in relationship to utilizing it as through gym, or you can even use martial arts. If it gets you to the goal, which is to be a better person, whether you do judo or whatever dynamic, that's the key aspect of the purpose of a religious system. You have individuals who have come historically that have given a word. That person passed away. Everyone says that dude was great. What made him so great? He was great because he lived this way. Well, I want to learn how he lived. Then institutions are being built to support that. And that's the purpose of religion society-wise. Hold on.
So I think we're, it's great.
See, that's why I was late. I apologize.
I think it's great that we're ending on this note. It's obvious. It's like Captain Obvious. Of course, whatever helps you get by is what you should do, whatever that is. I don't care if you pray to pineapples. Whatever it is, it's going to make you a decent human being. I'm all for. That is why
I love me some pineapples on my pizza.
That's why I am not anti-religion, because I know for some people, if they didn't have religion, they'd be straight fucking maniacs on planet Earth. So I'm all for religion. I would never be anti-religion, though I'm an atheist, right? I just don't do the spooky wooky stories. It just wasn't for me. I didn't feel like I needed it. I studied in many different religious houses, Jehovah's Witness, Scientology, Baptist, Catholic. My family thinks they're Catholic. Then there's Christianity. I've been there, done that. I've studied a lot. And I was just like, every room had the same vibe to me. That's just my story. Every room had the same vibe. I felt like I was in an emergency room constantly, but I wasn't sick. So I was like, why am I taking up this chair when I don't need what these people need? I'm out. It's not making sense to me, for me, my opinion. But whoever needs it, great. Stay there. If it's going to stop you from robbing my grandma, if it's going to stop you from cheating on your wife, if it's going to stop you from drinking, stay where the fuck you at. I don't care who it is you pray to, Muhammad, Jesus, what Buddha, whoever it is, stay there. So that's the obvious thing. My only issue earlier was people using certain excerpts and quotes and this and that, and they're not even living the way they should according to the religion that they are promoting. That was my thing, but that's the nature of man. I do as I say, not as I do. I'm behind the curtain. Nobody's looking. That's just the nature of man.
Yeah, something we all do. It doesn't take a religion for us to do that. Like we all tell, we tell our kids not to do what we do, even though like we do that. We're flawed in that sense. That's what I mean by flawed. It's like, we have no problem giving people advice on things on a regular, but half of us normally don't take our own advice in the things that we give. But we can always help anybody else out. We can help you through your problems, but sometimes they have a harder time. And this is not just in religion. It's just people in general, as you're saying, have a hard time reflecting that or applying that same thing in their own life. And does that make the information that they give bad? Does that make the information that we give incorrect? No, it just means that we struggle at even practicing it ourselves when we have to try to implement it, because we're human. And that doesn't take a religion to point that out or anything. It just shows that that's how flawed we are as a people in general.
I just think that's humans humaning. I think that's human. I don't even like the words flawed or imperfect. That's just a human being a human. I don't like those words really. But repent, you're not promised tomorrow. Hell is real, Tribe of Judah says. Hell is real, and you're all gonna burn.
Let me say this too. Let me say this too. I heard this a while ago. Religion is man's way of trying to get to God, versus relationship is God's means to get to man. Completely different dynamic.
Yep.
Completely different. I hope you caught what I said. Most men, religion is man's way of trying to explain through a human point of view of what God is, versus relationship is where God is now in the position of explaining or getting to that man.
And you think God is trying to get to man?
If I would have told you what I really believe, it would shake even.
Yeah.
Well,
let me introduce.
Because I would never point God outside of me. I will always say God is within me. So that would change a whole different thing. So I'm never looking for a religion. I'm always looking within, where God is. We can. It's a scripture for it if I were to find it, but I'm gonna throw a scripture in there because there's another clip.
No more clips. No more clips.
First of all, Glenn, you know why you fucking posted that clip, all right? Don't play with me.
Hey, I was talking about a specific
So,
thing. You think
That's why we're here.
Because it was triggering.
That shit was good. I was like, oh yes, let's get into this.
So I would say that when we look at how humans evolve or grow, and not over time and not with apes, I'm talking about just in life. You start off as an infant, a baby, a toddler, a child, a teen, an adult, and that's your first 20 years on this planet. But if you continue to extend beyond those 20 years and you go up to your 80s or your 90s, how are you evolving? You're evolving now intellectually and spiritually. And that's where we're coming into our oneness of God and our divinity. So that's your next level of maturity. God is manifested through man. Again, there was no book that dropped out of the sky and then we read it and then we became enlightened. It was enlightened individuals that came and we made books out of their lives. So we have to really understand that divinity is really in humanity. And that's the valuation. So we understand that that's our next phase of growth spiritually and intellectually. That's where the aspect of you are God, I am God, we are manifestations of that highest living self, that highest enlightened self that does things for the sake of doing good versus the sake of seeking some sort of monetary reward or anything on that nature. And we're not saying that there's something wrong with money. I'm just saying that there's a dynamic of why you're doing something and what is your impetus.
Watch American Gods on Stars. Watch American Gods. It's a great depiction of how gods even came to be. Humans made that shit up.
And they were all human beings though in that show. They're all human beings. All those gods weren't little ghosts floating around. They all were represented by human beings, human structures.
That's what I said.
So
thank you for that, Donovan. I think men should stop asking women to be submissive in 2023. Just let it go. It's not happening. That is Donovan's message. That would stop a lot of arguments, but then people on YouTube wouldn't have any.
Actually, I think
you wouldn't have any content.
I don't think I don't think he's necessarily wrong in that sense. In the case of here's why I say what I mean, and it goes back to having frame. If that's what you want in somebody, and they don't want to be that for you, that's fine. Why bitch about? Why complain about them not wanting to do this? Because that's not their worldview.
You won't have content.
No, it's the content that we create. Let's face it. The content we create is based off other people bitching about these things, and we are just reviewing their bitching and applying it to a worldview that actually either fits us or doesn't fit our worldview.
Vicious cycle.
Let me say this. Something you said, Glenn, earlier about the women that are in the workforce who are masculine. I'm trying to say it, make sure I say it correctly. Those women, as much as they are in their masculine and in their workforce, and then they come home, normally wants a man that's going to put them in the position of being submissive.
I've never heard that a day in my life.
Well, I mean, I can't say that's a some and not all type of thing, but I mean, I would say
it's a great feat though, because once a woman is in her masculine frame, as you guys say it, and she's busting her ass. I've been in that situation before. I've worked 2 jobs. She starts resenting and losing respect for that man that's back at the house. So it's hard for her. Mm-hmm. It's hard for him. It's a great feat for him to be like, well, let me make her submissive. Because I'm a believer that submission from a woman is natural, right? We just react to the man that's in our life. But when I was busting my ass, I wished I would. The arguments were deadly. I wish I would let a motherfucker tell me when, where, how high, what I'm gonna cook, what I'm gonna dress, how I'm, what I'm doing. What it's very, very difficult. And then I've been on the flip side where a man took care of everything, and you know it was lingerie all day, right? So that's the difference, and that's something that men it's hard to get that message across to men without them feeling insulted, because they get just as when you throw the word submission at women, you see how women get triggered. Men get triggered when you say them pay all the fucking bills.
Yeah, and you know what the sad thing is, and this has nothing to do with.
Let me say this. There's two different situations that we're looking at here. There's a difference between submission and oppression. Submission is something that is an agreed action that, just like you stated, when you're in the environment is provided for you to be in a certain space, you naturally adapt to a certain type of behavior. But when somebody's saying you have to do this because I say so, and I read it here in this book, that's oppression. That's not
exactly submission. That's controlling versus being in control.
Right, but he doesn't even have to ask that. If I'm working 2 jobs, like he doesn't have to ask that. His presence annoys me because I'm working 2 jobs.
Exactly.
And you know what? And here's the theory. Here's another theory out there. I think credit card companies, these banks and stuff, and the way that we are paying more for the things that we have now than we ever did before, I think that is done intentionally to keep that standard they're not working. I think we have our government, our country has have this a cabal created to break up the homes. I personally do. I don't see how our society right now, our government really supports families the way that it says it does. Because if it does, the cost of living wouldn't be so ridiculous. We would be able to have the wives be able to choose to stay at home if they want to, not force both parents to have to go to work. You know, that's man-made, that's man-created, and that was a plan. And I don't think what we think is our government's doing to help us. They're not helping us. If anything, they're causing more division than anything. And they get us pointing at each other saying, well, you should submit and, you should pay all the bills. Well, shit, I want to pay all the bills, but my job doesn't pay me enough to pay all the bills. And technically I couldn't work 47 hours in a day to be able to pay all the you see how it's like it's conspired against the success of what everybody's actually saying that they really want.
So I would say submission even had to do with paying all the bills. It doesn't have to do with paying all the bills.
To me, it does. If I have to come out my pocket for anything other than gifts and vacations and concert tickets, I'm going to have an issue.
So I'm not saying you per se, it would make a woman who does that, some women who do that, what?
Huh? I mean, a lot of women will submit for a guy who don't pay all the bills, but she's not going to look the way you want her to look. There's many of them out there. Lots of them.
Submission has more to do with the heart than anything.
With the what?
It has more to do with the heart. Submission, as the young lady, the young lady that was here that got kicked off, she said something very important.
She got kicked off. She left.
She left. Well, she said something very important. Submission, and I say this to the women that I talk to. Hint, hint. Submission is about transparency. It has to be trust, honesty, and transparency in order for you to submit. If you only submitting for the dollar, then I'm only written you as long as I have the dollar. Submission has to do with trust, transparency, and honesty. When you get that from me and I get that from you, your submission, what? As you said, becomes natural. Now, if I have the dollar or not, okay, that's an added bonus. Then you're only submitting because I have the dollar and not submitting to me as the man, and we're not working together.
Right, but you having the dollar makes you the man in my eyes. Don Levon, thank you for the super chat. He said exactly, if you have to ask for submission, then the answer is always going to be no.
Yeah, because what you do is get.
Don Levon also says paying bills is a huge, huge part. Because here's the thing, I can submit because you are trustworthy and transparent. But if there's a knock at the door, the marshal wants to evict us. Fuck you, fuck the heart, fuck the trust, fuck your transparency. We have an issue. And the trust and the transparency isn't going to keep us in the apartment. So what the fuck are you going to do about it, protector, provider? So let's not take away the emphasis and the importance of the fucking dollar bill. Although I do agree with Glenn, they are working against us. It's almost impossible to have a fucking home where a man is paying all the bills. I agree 100%. But let's not gloss over that. It's very important for a man to have money.
Right, but it cannot be the emphasis of only money. That's my point.
Well, it's a huge part, like Don Levon said. I agree with that.
Whatever it is,
If
whether
it's
it's money or
traditions,
resources,
it has to be.
if it's
security.
Yes, it's resources. It's basically, if you look at it, money is resources.
Yeah,
the means to be able. So you can look at that money. It was money. Now, before it was salt. You know, like it was whatever was considered of value.
Yeah, but it's just the word money triggers men the way submission triggers women. Money triggers men. It's like, what? Why I gotta have money?
Absolutely.
What about my transparency? What
because
about
you know why? The reason why is because they're falling short of the standard that they're being held to, and then the other person's falling short of the standard they're being held to. So both people are falling short. So here's a great relationship advice. Okay, and one I think I should take, and everybody else in the world should take. Until you're in a position, men, that you could financially provide for another person, and without going without that, your lifestyles and are good, then don't get in a relationship. All right, and ladies, don't be saying to men that you're going to submit to them if you have no desire to actually give up that authority that they are requiring. Like you both have to meet the standard before you get involved. How about that? Because I think if we actually did that, regardless whether it's religion or personal views or whatever the case, as long as both individuals actually met the standard that they're trying to meet, and then before they try to enforce a standard to somebody else, then I think we'll have better lives.
I agree with that. And I always say to women want a ring. They don't realize it comes with a whole husband. Okay, women want the wedding, they want the ring, they want the flowers, they want to be able to do this on Instagram. It comes with a whole husband. And that's something that women fall short of, because after the wedding, it's like there's a man in there. Now what? Now that all your friends done clapped and wore the pretty dresses, there's a whole man in there. So I agree with you.
And Glenn, I'll say this really quick, and pardon me for not camming up, but I'm trying to get dressed. It's an Islamic practice in talking about the credit card dynamic that interest
7 years.
No, that interest is against our belief system, that you're not supposed to charge interest money. So if somebody loans you $100, you're only supposed to return $100, not $100 plus an extra 20.
Interest, yep. That's actually also biblically too. It's one of the Old Testament laws that is Islam and Christianity supposedly share, but that we don't see it practiced anymore in our current society, which is sad.
So you want to get a loan from a Muslim or an Islamic company?
Heck yeah! But also, Ish, don't you guys also do the 7-year forgiveness? At the 7-year mark, you're supposed to forgive the debt of whatever debt is still being held or hasn't been paid. You're supposed to wipe it out, because I know that's where I believe our own laws have come from, is that old practice that was I want to say from an Abrahamic belief that after 7 years, if the person hasn't fulfilled the debt in 7 years, you wipe out whatever is now still the balance and everybody starts new. That was a belief system that I think Islam and Christianity or Judaism practice as well. Is that something Ish that you guys still uphold?
I mean, that's practice in different segments of the world. It just depends on, the environment, country, and circumstances that you're living under. But that is a principle when governed under a country that's governed under Islam. Yes.
I mean, they're like at the end of the day, there's some great things that we could really implement that are from both, belief systems that could actually really benefit everybody. Like stuff like that. No interest in loans, or 7 years your debt is forgiven. Like that would benefit everybody in this world, don't you think?
No.
Absolutely. I mean, just again, there are basic principles that you have to kind of break out, and that's what I was going to say when Jen raised the point about if 6 of us all wrote or put together a Bible. I think the one thing that we would have to establish is what is the common denominator. What is the bottom line factor that affects us all and will help benefit us all if that's the intention of the book. So that's what you have to really look at when it comes down to all faith systems. And, going to know Saint, who, regards all of it as a cult-like experience.
Well, that's because he wasn't a cult.
Every religion is a cult. Every religion is a cult until it gets a lot of numbers, and then all of a sudden now it's an official religion. So I mean,
no. I think the Catholic religion is
12
a
disciples
cult.
were these cults of Jews that were running around.
I'm agree with you on that one.
I think the Catholics are a cult. The Catholicism is a cult. Yeah,
I 100% with you on that.
Yeah,
I mean, all of it has its cult-like behavior. And again, if you start applying spookism into your belief system and you take away the real world, that's when you really start having problems. And we should have a relationship between science and religion. And even in the history of science, Islam, when it had a relationship like that, many scientific advances took place during that time period. That's why many of the stars in the sky are named after in Arabic words. And the ocular sciences, the study of the eye, comes from Islamic traditions and scriptures that we came out of that couldn't have come from just observation, but they believed that it was divinely inspired. So that's science. And I think if we merge science with reality and not, I mean, merge religious faith with science and reality, and take out spookism, you'll find a much better representatives of their belief system of Christianity and Islam. And I believe that even Prophet Muhammad and Jesus would look around and say, this wasn't what I was teaching when I was alive.
Yeah.
I don't know
who you mentioned that, because
I don't know who you all are knocking on people's doors, but this is not what I was teaching.
You're right, because you know what, for even in the Christian faith, science was, founded. There was a lot of scientists that were, doing these experiments, proving or either proving evidence for fulfillment of scripture, or science was never separated from belief, whether it was Islam or Christianity. At one point they were all in one, they were all in unity. They were all united. It was until later it got perverted somehow on both sides, that now you have science versus religion, and you can't have sciences, but all sciences to a degree, to some points, it's still just a theory, just as much as you could say religion is just a theory in many areas. So
it's interesting you even say that. That's science. Think about it. For those who believe the Bible, there were 3 wise men who followed the stars. That is a science, to follow the stars to find out where the baby was born. So how can we dismiss the science and the religion with the science?
Yeah, and everybody, we all do that. Everybody doesn't know. We all don't know anything really when it comes to things. We all are just trying to cling to something that sounds right to us, and we try to live our life to things that just make sense to us. And and that's really what we're all trying to do. And we got people that are trying to convince other people that their way that they think is better than the other person's way of thinking. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to know until they get to the end of the day. So
great point. Is anybody on the panel paying child support?
I did before.
Not anymore?
Illegally, I am.
Anymore.
Because your kids are older?
No, they're older, and I did pay.
Okay, because I'm going to have a panel about child support. There's a guy on Facebook, a Facebook friend of mine, and whoa, the way he explained child support and how it's illegal, and he fought against the system and got out of it. It's an amazing story that I think men should hear about child support. So if you guys have any opinions on that, I would love for you to be on the panel, because I thought that story was amazing, because I'm one of the people that I don't believe in child support the way the system does it. I think it's really, really fucked up. And he told me his story about how he fought against it. It's an amazing story. He went through the court system and all of that. So if you guys have any opinions on that,
that would be good.
Love to have you on.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting
I've
thing.
had my run in the child support court, and actually when I was paying child support for a few years for children that were in my custody. So
yeah, you know what? I just did an entire segment on so I have an hour-long video, but I just released a kind of like a late night TV show version of a podcast episode with Phil. And it's like we have different segments in there, and it's just all kind of like there's some comedy, there's some serious stuff in there. And when we dove into child support, or actually we dove into paternity fraud, and how paternity fraud is actually technically not illegal. And we realized, like, wow, why is this? Any other fraud is considered illegal, but paternity fraud is not a chargeable crime. And we dove into that. So it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because we dive into custody as well. So there's some interesting stuff.
The ladies are gonna be mad at me that night, but you know I don't give a damn. But the ladies are gonna be mad at me. But listen, I stick to what I believe, and I just think that child support can fuck up a man's life real bad. I'm
gonna tell you, Jen. When I went to the child support towards the end, since my sons were getting older, and I needed to make an adjustment, and because I owe some money because I lost my job working at General Motors, the lady, the magistrate, fought and asked my ex-wife, "Are you sure you want to dismiss this money? We're going to miss all this money." I said, "Listen, lady, you're not going to speak for her. She's going to speak for her, and she's going to tell you what she wants. Sir, you need to leave." So I left. She agreed to the amount, but I told my ex-wife the reason why. I've been a good father from day one to the sons, to my boys. I give up and beyond. So why wouldn't I change just because I owe something because I lost my job? She agreed to it, dismissed the amount that I owe. At the end of child support, I kid you not, I got money over. You know what I did with my money? I went on Mother's Day, and I said, "I got a card for you." She's like, "Oh, a card, thank you." And I gave her the money.
Wow.
That's what a man does.
Wow.
Yep. You know,
so
conversation for sure. I want to have that conversation.
Jen, I do have a question that I think you might want to do, like as a panel show. It might be really interesting, so you might want to write it down. Just because we like controversy, Of course, you know, like because we hear like I was reading something this morning saying that like this woman was complaining about all the things that things are not equal in, right? And she was talking about like clothing, feminine products. You know, she was just giving the 35 things on her list that were not equal in. And I was sitting there, I was thinking, I was like, why don't we ever hear about women complaining about the things that were not equal in that benefit them?
Give me an example.
Okay. Divorce court typically benefits women. All right. The criminal system, women actually are charged less for the same crime that men commit. There's this article, a woman had sex with her student, and she got probation and house arrest and didn't have to register as a sex offender. But if a man slept with a minor girl as a student, he's going to be charged with rape, statutory rape, and he's going to have to register as a sex offender. So if we want equality, right, if we're pushing for equality for all, then shouldn't we also ask for equality in the areas that are unequal that benefit others? If you generally want equality, because then what you're doing is you're picking and choosing what you want to consider you want to be equal to.
That's a topic, but two things. The women that molest children, because that's what it is, okay, deserve the same amount of time. I also think women who lie about who the father is, if that father is paying child support, they should do time as well. But when a teacher molests a kid, I need men to not cheer her on and say,
absolutely,
where was
100%.
She 16? And that needs to stop as well. But I'm with you.
Exactly. Because I was thinking, like, you know, okay, this is actually something controversial because we're not hearing that being pushed. We're only hearing the things that they want, not the blanket equality across the board. And I figured that would be an interesting topic to have.
The only thing I'll say to that, and I mean, you're right. I think there are, You're picking out exceptions, I think, but I agree with you. I mean, it should be square, but I'm
Well,
saying
I'm just
like,
talking about from the principle of equality. It should be across the board on all
yeah,
areas.
But what I'm saying is the person you're saying that got away with it, I don't think that's across the board, because I think women have to register the sex offenders. But where you're right is they also are less likely to get the death penalty, and I just think that's I mean, we look at women as, you know, I mean, just like what Jen talks about, the one that killed the boyfriend or whatever, and all the guys are like, I'm sure guys, like you said, guys would still get with her. Yeah,
It's the same thing with like the Menendez brothers. You know how many girls were sending them letters, and like Charles Manson, like
right.
There's people don't have it all together upstairs.
But women are less likely to get sentenced by the jury, so that's like just a societal thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I've
or recommended.
Yeah,
the
it's
judge
like, we're looking for equality, and I support equality. I really do, thoroughly. I do. I feel like if you want equality, you should have it. I'm 100% equal pay all across the board, all that stuff. But it has to be in every area, not just the areas that could benefit individuals. It has to be, the consequences have to be equal too. And that's something we're not seeing pushed or even asked for.
We'll see about that.
Fun fact, I was in jail with Lau Melendez. We were a cell away from each other.
Damn.
Wow.
Fun fact. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. We extended our fucking stay, but this was
the 4 hours. Good God, I'm done.
It was dope though. A lot got said and understood. This was dope. Lawrence, thank you so much. I know this is your first time up here. I hope it wasn't too rough, but this is what happens here. This is what happens here.
I will say this next time, and is it Angelica or
Annalisa.
I like her.
Annalisa, like, look, if we can't have a modernized debate where it's actually going to be, you know, structure, and we're not going to be just shouting shit and just interrupting and calling names, then I don't think we're not getting anywhere, because we get to the point at the diminishing returns so quickly that there's nothing actually gets constructively discussed.
Okay, but to defend her though, she do go on panels where the toxicity level is 20 times worse than you think. But so it's a learning process. That's all.
But that's not what
She's an acquired taste, but that's why I stressed what Lawrence wanted to be, how he wanted to be addressed. That's why I stressed that. So I don't let her go too crazy, but she is an acquired taste, and when she gets too crazy, I reel her back in. But I will say salute to the fellas for staying respectful, because I've had situations where men have been up here and they've gone off on her, and she's been all kind of bitches and hoes and all kinds of shit. So I do thank you for standing on your square.
Rip big truck.
Thank you for that.
Rip.
I don't like that. I don't like the name.
We lost a very colorful member of our panel.
We did. He never came back.
Oh, big truck?
Yeah.
Was that why she's the reason why he left?
No, she booted them.
Yeah, I got two people that.
You know, Jen don't do the name calling.
I know. Jen can at times, but she doesn't go that bad. Like she doesn't do it malicious in the sense of like she's trying to get you to, you know, degrade you. She does. But
I do my New York shit. I do my New York shit, but I
like tonight was a little much if you want to look at it from trying to have a constructive discussion on a specific topic. That point we got to the point with her where there's so diminishing returns, there was really nothing to gain from that continuous dialogue.
I agree.
To be honest, I thought Mr. Adams was being narcissistic, because there was 4 dudes on here that were wearing hats.
Well, but the thing is that she was.
I like that hat. I don't wear that hat.
Me too.
Well, actually, if you actually caught what she was doing, she was calling him basically the guy from the man with the big yellow hat from Curious George, Mr. Hat. And
she called Elvis Hat. Remember? I
don't think I remember that.
That's right.
Yeah, she called him that.
That's when Big Truck got kicked off.
Oh,
you weren't here. That's when I had the drop. I dropped Big Truck. I dropped World Kings. But World Kings came back. Sometimes I just gotta separate people. And Big Truck never came back. He never came back. I guess he was.
When it comes to Annalicia, it's just like a comforting thing. Like once she gets comfortable and realizes you guys aren't trying to be like those other panelists from them other shows, she'll calm down. It's not an acquired taste. It's she has to get comfortable. That's all it is. When somebody's in a certain arena, that's all.
We just got to look at it as like if we're trying to gain understanding and constructive knowledge from each other's worldview, that actually causes more division than brings us together. When we get to that point, when we get to the point where there's diminishing returns, when there's no value in what's being now given, it's like then why should we continue in this dialogue if it's going this bad? If it's going further, it's just like, what's the point?
Man, it was all good. It's like water off a duck's back. I lived in the Bronx for a little bit, so I already know.
Ah shit, where in the Bronx?
Off of Fordham Road.
Oh my God. Okay, that's my old stomping ground.
Right by the college.
Okay, Fordham University or Bronx Community College?
No, Fordham University.
Okay, so you know all of this.
Yeah, I know the energy, and I lived in Jersey. I know.
You worked. I'm just curious. Are you
Jen slinging them rocks back in the day? You saw Jen back then? Yes, she was quite the queen pin back then.
Out of state, Tristan.
You were. I don't know. I'm just wondering. Are you from Michigan by any chance?
No, I'm actually from Cleveland. I actually live. I mean, the little how close I am. I live down the street from Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. Yeah, that Michigan, Ohio, because you said you worked for Ford, and I know they're all over. But
I work for General Motors down in Doraville.
Oh, GM.
Yeah, I worked in Doraville, Georgia. I worked for General Motors. Then I jumped back up here. Then I jumped to the Bronx. Then I moved out to Saddle River, New Jersey.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I want you guys to come back. I'll keep you posted on the child support thing. I think it's an important conversation.
It's a really good one. It's a really good one.
Conversation to have, and it's important to have women say this shit is fucked up.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, thank you immensely from the bottom of my heart. This was fucking amazing. Y'all came up, y'all showed out. Let's do this again. Merry Christmas for those who celebrate.
And happy tree burning day for those that don't.
Happy Festivus for the rest of us.
That's what it's called. Yeah, Festivus.
All right, guys. Is there anything you guys want to say before we close out? Or we good? Out,
no.
Right?
I did. Like I said, I would encourage everybody to go check out that new variety thing that I put out there. It was just a creative experiment that we try to do. It's pretty cool. We have different topics in there that typically have to deal with men. So approach it understanding that it's tailored to a certain audience, and then just check it out and give me your ideas, what you guys think about it. I love hearing other people's opinions and creating new stuff. It's fun.
Okay, yay!
It was great show.
Keep them clips coming.
Oh, I got them all. I could,
because if I see some shit,
I might make some clips out of this.
Woo! There's a lot of clips here.
Yeah, there is.
Listen, take us out. Thank you, chat.
Yeah, it's because it's Christmas and they asked me for this damn tree. I love you all. Class dismissed.
Good night.
Good night.
I got to go. Good night.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys, if you're still here for any reason, hit that like and subscribe on your way out the door. If you enjoyed this, please leave me comments in the comment section. That helps me in the algo. Doesn't have to be a sentence. Give me a thumbs up, a smiley face. So, Jen, what the fuck was that in the comments? Okay. Don't forget, you're always welcome on my panel. Okay. We love, as you can see, the verbal fisticuffs. But we all come right back around at the end and know that we're just adults that are passionate about our shit. So thank you so much for being here on Christmas Eve. Enjoy your holiday tomorrow with your family if you celebrate. Thank you so much for holding me down in the chat. Thank you for the super chats and the support. I truly love you all. I could not do this without you. And hopefully we'll keep getting new faces up here. Thank you so much to Lawrence Adams, who came up here and gave us his time and his swag. And I hope to see more people up here as we grow. Okay, here we go. Almost 2023. All right, guys. Good night.